The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. Three distinct corners here at the 2.5 mile triangle in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. We had quite the calamity last night in the D2 version of this race, with the guys working their way up to try to get their license. So let's see if the top dogs in the full distance 400 miler can have a little bit easier of a fare here this evening. Welcome everybody to the 100% Cup Series channel presented by PTR TV for round number 21 of 36 here in the Scalene 400. For those that don't know, that is a non-identical triangle. So there you go for that little lesson right there. It's gonna be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth and pushing the buttons, along with Andre Grandebusch and Jeff Souza, feeling a little bit better here tonight. Gonna join us here for the big boy race, guys. A long one here, 160 miles here at Pocono. Last night, definitely not the cleanest and anti-chaotic race we've ever had. But let's see what tonight offers us.
Yeah, last night in D2 was definitely interesting because the race started out really clean. I mean, we had some longer green flag runs. We even had a sequence of green flag stops, and we thought the race was going to continue in that direction. And then, well, the end of stage one brought the apocalypse with it, it seemed like, as drivers had a lot of issues. But we'll see. You know, D2 is not always the same as the big boy race here on Saturday night. So we'll see. It's an interesting race. I know that this track has actually produced some surprise winners in the past. So either way, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting race. Like you said, a lot of different characters than we saw last night. I think a lot more skilled people tonight. No offense to people last night, but I think we're going to see a lot of long runs and hopefully a lot of side-by-side action as well.
All right, we'll see if that is indeed on the cards for us here. Well, Jeff, last night I had to do the lap guide, which probably didn't help too many people out because I don't know how to drive, nor do I do it very much. So let's go ahead and try that again tonight, but we'll let you be the leader of the charge.
Sounds good. So here we come off turn 4. We're in 4th gear coming off turn 3. Sorry, my bad. We're going to upshift right past the line here into 5th. You'll see most people shift in here tonight. Some people won't, but most will. Going to hit almost 9,000 going into the corner. Downshift into 4th right away. At least I do. Some people wait till the middle of the corner, help their rotation a little bit better. You're going to have to be a little bit free to come off that turn, get all the way up to the wall. You're going to see some people probably darting down to the bottom inside too to break the draft. We'll upshift to 5th. Quick right before the tunnel turn, which is tough to go through by yourself, but with other people around you, it's going to be even tougher. And then, like I said, some people will be shifting up into 5th here early in the run, maybe stay in 4th. Most of the time this week, I've been staying in 4th the whole time. Helps me get a little bit better entry to 3. In 3, I think we're going to see a lot of different lines in the races I've run or seen this week at least. You've seen some that are able to keep it right along that bottom lane, and then some that are able to run the second to middle or even higher groove and get a good run off. So I think if turn 3 can widen out like it did in the races I've seen this week, I think we could be in for a really eventful race down there.
We do have the points up on screen. John Delaney currently leading the way, just barely over Lucas Hoytsma, both at 3 wins, but John with a few extra stage points. Clayton Hoffman's going to be sitting 3rd in points, a rookie on the podium in points. Then Patrick Gitter, another rookie right behind him, is sitting in 4th. Robert Miller, Adam Benefiel, Matt Long, Andrew Dyson, RJ Root, Alex Murray, and Dustin Hall all locked in with 1 win apiece. And the drivers that are in, but never mind, graphic goes away as we have the rookie point standings. Patrick Gitter still leading the way, not a surprise there. He's been ahead of the other rookies for quite a few weeks in a row. Clayton Hoffman 94 back and Andrew Dyson 122 out. And as for the manufacturer standings, I think it's pretty much what we... Oh, team standings, how about that? Conti pulls a little bit further away from LMM and Dirty South, actually extending their gap into 2nd place. Apex is still leading the way, although with recent developments, it could get a little bit dicey for the points standings lead for the teams later on in the season. That is going to do it for the point standings tonight as the drivers continue to practice. A bit of an apology for the delayed start tonight. The session that went up had an incorrect tire count, so quickly had to throw up a session with a proper tire set so that these guys weren't trying to stretch an absurdly low amount of tires. The Goodyear hauler was just a little bit late to the track.
Yeah, but the slightly interesting part of that was it was actually kind of questioning how much of a factor that was actually going to play in the grand scheme of the race, because last night tires were not that much of an issue. And I know you heard, Jeffrey, you talked in pre-race before we went on the air that they were even in the real world running faster lap times as the race progressed. So I don't think tires will be too big of a deal here tonight, but good to at least have the proper number available if indeed the circumstances do present themselves. But speaking of circumstances presenting themselves, we are going to finally get ready for the trek down to the racetrack, and let's go ahead and get you the starting lineup here today for the Scalene 400. Starting on the front row, I mean in the 92 of Clayton Hoffman, Bobby Anderson had a great run until Calamity struck in D2, but he'll start on the outside of the front row. P3 finds Robert Miller, and Matt DeCiani had a solid run last night. Almost took the win, but not quite. Matt Long in 5th. Andrew Dyson going to be in the 6th spot. Chad Gunnigsman in 7th. Dustin Hall in 8th. And then we have Adam Benefiel and Jim Schofield rounding out the top 10, Andre.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's John Daly. Lucas Hoitzma is starting in P11. Mark Padgett is going to be 12th. 13th is handed to Matt White with Tanner Marty in 14th. Tanner Marty having a bit of an adventure last night in D2 himself. Ralph Hutchison is going to be 15th. Paul Tracy will be at P16. 17 is going to be Brandon Pierce in the 38, right next to Jason. Nobody calls him Jedi Spider-Man Taylor. And we've got Bruno Melo from the D2 race last night, starting 19th, and SOB running out the top 20, Jeff.
Kenny Powell will start 21st, and Nolan Hodge is outside in 22nd. Alex Murray coming from the back tonight in 23rd, with Randy Drumhiller in 24th. Wayne Grassi in 25th, with Dalton Mobley in 26th. Kyle Ammon in the 27. He joins us back this week. And then Kevin Steele, big alert, like you said earlier, big warning. He will now be driving for his own team after some developments. And then Damaris Hickenbottom will be rounding out the rest of the field tonight. Only 29 cars joining us for Pocono.
Yeah, so to address the elephant in the room, as we've kind of alluded to Apex twice, last night in the D2 series, you might have seen Cam Stone have some misadventures of his own. I don't think we quite caught it on camera. I went back and tried to find it. We didn't see it. Apparently, he spun somebody out under caution, which is a pretty big no-no in this league, as it would be in, I think, any league. And he's been indefinitely suspended, which is not surprising to, I don't think, really anybody for an infraction like that. And so Apex was down a driver, and that brought Kevin Steele, the Iron Man himself, out of his semi-retirement and back to driving full-time for his own team.
Exactly that. Drama always afoot here, and as we get very quickly ready for the race weather conditions here at 74 of the track, 74 on the air, 103 tracks, a little bit cooler than last night, 2:30 virtual time. Stage is going to be lap 30 and lap 90 with 7 sets of tires overall, 6 of those being in the pits. But it looks like we're going to have one pace lap, one and done here. Let's get ourselves ready for a night of racing. The triangle is ready for these guys, 100% D1. Let's get going.
And they're going to be side by side going down into turn 1. Bobby Anderson getting a good run. And we've heard from the drivers last night in D2, if you can get to somebody's outside, that is a pretty good place to be. So we'll see how deep Bobby can drive it in there in that number 5. The 92 is going to get clear. And then it's going to be 1-2 single file, but here comes Robert Miller in 3rd. He's trying to find something down low, but that's the thing about this track, guys. It's not quite like real life. The draft is a huge thing, and if you get trapped in the wrong lane with not many cars around you, you might find yourself going backwards, and that's kind of what happened to Miller there. He jumped out to make a move and lost time on the straight. Behind him, a huge battle going on, led by Andrew Dyson, just ahead of Dustin Hall. This guy's 2 by 2 by 2. They're going to have to sort it out through the tunnel turn.
Yeah, and I raced with a couple of these guys in a league race on Thursday night, and like you said, draft is a huge factor here, especially when you're trying to make passes. Some people, you might see them get runs on each other, and they might not take them. You know, they know that if they do take that run, they might get passed by 5 people. So it's better off just stick behind the guy and then make a move later on during the race. But right now, on these fresh tires, everybody's trying to get everything they can as we turn back down to the tunnel center.
I saw Tracy there in the 33 testing out the Harry Gantle head all the way up against the fence, which turn 1 is one that you can kind of work a little bit of multi-groove in, but I think that was a little bit excessive, so he'll try to get himself back in line. Looks like he is kind of struggling to keep that 33 where it desires to be, all the way up there at the top of the track. Looks like a little bit further up, Adam Benefield. It's kind of hard to tell. As you guys said, the outside is favorable in some aspects, so it's hard to tell if he's passing or being passed. I think being passed is the verdict there, as was that to his inside there, the 8 of Hutchison trying to make a pass. That's going to be for the 14th and 15th spots, I believe.
I'm also just realizing, I'm pretty sure I called Rob Tracy Paul Tracy on the grid.
Did? I didn't know if that was intentional or not.
He may be either flattered or offended, depending on his opinions on Paul Tracy. So I'm sorry there, Rob. I just seen the name Tracy, and that's where my mind went for some reason. In the meantime, single filing out up front, Clayton Hoffman trying to get another win on the season, but it's early on, and right now he's in a pretty good spot. We've seen the Clean Air be very dominant in D2. Seems like whoever gets out front kind of controls the field. They set the pace. And in addition to that, you know, tires didn't seem to wear that much in D2, so he doesn't really have to worry about babying that car. He can just run his pace, try to keep that number 5 in the rear view if possible. But I'll tell you what, that 5, he's driving the wheels off that thing. Got a little squirrely out of the turn.
Yeah, in this field, you know, we started on a semi-used race surface, so a little bit of rubber on the track, not all rubbered in though. Like you said, tire wear, I think it's going to matter in the long run. I think if we can get like a 20-25 lap run into the race here, we're definitely going to see some people starting to fade, struggling, especially in that dirty air. That dirty air can be horrible, especially down into the tunnel turn where, you know, you have your certain points every corner that you lift at, you get in the brakes, and you dive down in the corner. After 20 laps, when you're in dirty air, you can't use those points anymore. If you do, you're probably going to end up head on in the wall. So it's going to be interesting here to see who can take care of their tires and be there if we do get a long run.
Yeah, very much the case here. And of course, what we will be looking for as well is strategy, guys, because definitely came into play last night. Pocono, one of those tracks that you kind of treat strategy as you would at a road course, because as long as you're within about 15 seconds of the leader, you can make a green flag stop, 4 tires and fuel in entirety, and stay on the lead lap. So if you pit before the stage, you know, you can get that track position, maybe sacrifice the stage points, but then start the next stage in the ideal spot. We saw a lot of guys do it. I think they call it flipping the stage, as the verbiage is being called now. So we're going to be at that point, 30 laps. That is still within range of a fuel run. So I'd expect some guys coming in 27, 28, and then with the difficulties of passing here, it'll kind of shake the field up, and that'll be very interesting as things progress.
Let's see, the problem with that strategy is that if everybody flips the stage,
then nobody's
flipping the stage. And last night, I think in D2, a lot of drivers just weren't thinking to do it. You don't tend to take that strategy at an oval. But this track's big enough that you can do it, and I think now that some of these drivers have witnessed what happened in D2, they're getting feedback from their teammates who might have been in the race, or they were in the race themselves, and they know that that's the play to make, because everyone who did it last night found great success in doing so. But if everybody does it now, well, then it's not gonna, it's just gonna even out.
But here's the asterisk to that, Andre. We talked about it last night. Remember, D2, not so much a point-oriented situation. So as we kind of talked about with the point standings, you have guys that could really use those stage points, especially with some others not being present here in tonight's race. So do you want those stage points, or do you want the track position? Last night it was about the track position. Today it's about both.
Yeah, I think for some of these guys, you know, right now going into this race, if I can bring it up quick here for myself, there was a very large gap there on that cut line. 15 points to Schofield, he's the first one out, but then it's 70 back to Mark Padgett, and even more behind him. So all those guys behind Mark, you need a win. You know, I know we got, what, maybe 10, you know, 8 races, I think, or 5 races left until we start the chase out. So if you're Mark or any of those guys behind him, you're probably not pointing your way in here. So you need a win, and if that means working out some strategy to get some track position tonight and ended up front when you need to be, that's what you have to do. So we'll have to keep an eye on those guys that are on that cut line there and really need wins, and see if they're able to roll the dice here in a little while.
Good seeing a few drivers getting a little bit squirrely coming out of the final corner there, trying to maybe dive down to the bottom, make a move, or maybe just trying to break the draft. But up front, a lot of single file. Everybody just trying to work together, maybe tandem up. And we did see tandeming work last night in D2 multiple times. We saw 2-car breakaways because they were just pushing each other down the straightaways, and it worked really well, almost too well. And if anybody could really just get far enough away and break that draft, we might see that same thing playing out tonight. The problem is, up front, I mean, look at these drivers, all different team affiliations. You got Clayton Hoffman, Robert Anderson, Robert Miller, Matt DiCiani. None of these guys are friends. None of these guys are teammates. They're not going to want to tandem with one another.
Hey, Andre, look at that lap time there for your boy. He's doing some cheating over there.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens. I think maybe he's just sitting by the start-finish line, swiping the transponder back and forth.
But he's not doing it very well, because it's only got him in the 12th spot, of course. That is, in the real terms, back to normal there, as some connectivity issues skew off the telemetry, at least in temporary fashion there, as Alex Murray right to his rear, and Chad Gunningsman, the car in the front right there. Gunningsman, one who had quite the issues there last night. We see a side-by-side battle. There's Padgett and Schofield doing some drafting along with Matt White. Dustin Hall's going to lose 3 positions there just over the course of the Long Pond straightaway.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing right there. If you get ganged up on in a corner, in one corner, on a straightaway right there, you can't do anything. At Atlanta a couple weeks ago, we saw people using that side draft from the outside lane and pulling cars back. With this car package that we have here, this aero package, it's not very effective. You can side draft with people, but you're not going to pull them back as much as you could a couple weeks ago. So, we're going to see those cars doing that tandem draft, teaming up on people. And if you can find friends, even if the friend
Speaking
isn't
of
a
friends,
teammate, it worked.
Someone doesn't have any, because look how far back he is from everybody.
Yeah, it looks like the USPS is running behind again. I don't know what happened there. I almost feel like he had to have had some sort of minor incident, maybe got into the wall or just got a little bit loose. But he's completely fallen away from the pack back there in 29th position. Next car up the road to him is Wayne Grassi. That's about 3 or 4 seconds, so not a good position to be in. Although, to his saving grace here, he's only about 20 laps away from the stage, so he may be able to stay on the lead lap. Here we've got a little bit of... actually, who are we on board with? We're on board with the Elite Machines, DiCiani. And they're still running single file. A little bit further back, I noticed that teammates were working together in 20th and 21st. SOB, and nobody calls him Jedi, Jason Taylor. Those guys were bump drafting down the straightaway, but they weren't really going anywhere. It seemed like the 33 was kind of keeping them at bay. And here's a move. Look at this.
Oh,
Alex Murray, he pressed B to intimidate Jeff. I mean, he just forced him up into the wall.
Yeah, Alex Murray is on a mission right now. Already up, I think, 10 spots from where he started tonight. He is just trying to mow these guys down one at a time, and I won't lie, that's something that's tough to do here. Like we said, it's really hard to pass. It's hard to time those passes when you're getting to people. And he's kind of making these moves all by himself. He's really not having any help here, but as we see down the front stretch, it looks like we're having a pretty distinctive separation here between the front pack of 6 cars and then all the way back to Padgett, who is looking to get passed here by Jim Schofield.
That's a battle for the 7th spot. That is no longer Matt White in the 48, not close enough to double take there. But again, interestingly enough, up front, everybody is showing a fair bit of patience there, as Alex Murray looks like he's going to try and take a spot away from Dustin Hall, who is seeming to show a large amount of patience here. If someone gets a move on him, he is just rolled over playing dead. But again, just going back up front, looks like Hoffman is just scooting away by almost a car length now, so kind of breaking the train, if you will. I don't know if it's going to be possible to fully break it. If Anderson hits the wall, that'll sure help that cause. But here comes Robert Miller. He's going to have a look down the front straightaway here, try to pull on the left rear, and try to get him on back there via the side draft, and let's battle off into turn number 1. Looks like the 5 will fight on the outside lane. He's not going to roll over. 15's going to have to try and get the run, but he's going to get pinched down on exit and drag race down the long pond.
This is not the first time we've seen the Robert and Robert show. These two seem to find each other on track quite often, actually. Whenever Miller is able to race and Anderson is on the same track, they just seem to have magnets in those cars. The 15 and the 5 always racing and usually pretty close in pace, which is always fun to watch. But it just seems like every time Robert Miller tries to make a move here, a parachute gets deployed out the back and gets pulled a little bit further back in the grid and then has to try it all over again. But we do notice that this breakaway has Dyson in it. Now, I am noticing that some of the drivers in the top 10, Andrew Dyson, bit of a road course specialist. We've got Matt White, who I wish Cody was around because he could confirm or deny this. I'm pretty sure Matt White has performed pretty well at road courses in the past. Cody being our statistician, he'd be able to tell me. But, a few names in the top 10 doing good at a track that, for an oval, is about as close to a road course as you can get.
Statistician or statistician? Just omitting some syllables there?
Maybe both. It's a new word. It's like strategery, You say it enough, it becomes a thing.
Yeah, English language, we have a simplify it, make things a little easier. Doesn't hurt anybody, but halfway through the stage now, and I just want to let's bring up with the race leader, because who else would it be to give this stat for? Looks like 4/10 a fall off, so that's more than we saw really all last night. And interestingly enough, I think when we talked to whoever it was one of the top 3 last night, he said that the track last night was about 5 to 6/10 of a second faster than any of the iRacing official series servers had it, even though it was 110 track temp. So now we have a lower track temp here today at about 104, but we're seeing more fall off. So again, my little brain that can't compute is certainly can't compute anything because I can't talk.
Yeah, so one thing that could be causing that so far in this race, like I said early on, we did start with a mid-track usage. So these guys, putting this rubber down on the track, the tires are probably wearing a little bit more than you would expect right now on this first run. I would say we can go check in on that stat later on once we get some rubber down, maybe the second run of this race, and see how much tire wear is mattering. We'll talk to some guys down on the box in the pit road, see what tires are looking like. And I think once some rubber gets put down on this track, sun starts to go down a little, track gets a little bit cooler, I think we're going to see some faster times and probably some less fall off.
Oh, what do we got going on here? We got some guys working and making some passes here. Looks like Matt Long, he's going to get by DeCiani. That's going to put him in the 4th spot. DeCiani not going to roll over and play dead. A little bit of a crossover there. Not by much space there where they clearing each other. DeCiani's going to go back down to the bottom, but I think the 97 has the preferred lane here in turn 3 in that outer groove. Should give him the runoff exit. And here comes Robert Miller taking a look underneath Anderson, but just doesn't have the oomph to follow it.
It really doesn't surprise me that Matt Long is one of the drivers that's actually able to make these passes, despite the fact that, clean air has been so prominent and it's so difficult to pass. When Matt first joined the league, he did a lot of things that I thought were kind of out there, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? But the thing is, he's just an aggressive driver. If there's an opportunity to take a pass, he's going to try to make that pass, and he's going to drive the wheels off it trying to do it. And it doesn't always work out, but when it does, 60% of the time, it works 100% of the time. And I've grown to like that out of the 97. He's fun to watch, and he's doing pretty good here tonight, making a few passes. DeCiani made a great attempt at the crossover, but again, he was on the low side where nobody else was, and that draft was not there to help him. Speaking of making passes, you talked about it, Jeffrey, but this guy's passed quite a few cars tonight, maybe the most cars out of anybody. Alex Murray all the way up into 9th now, as he is sliding out of the corner. He's driving the wheels off that. Look at that.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for these guys. They're going to be slipping. They're going to be sliding. Turn 3 this week has been one of the most toughest places to run, I would say. Like we said, it's 3 different turns. You have one after Trenton, you have one after Indy, you have one after Milwaukee Mile. Turn 3 is so flat that you need so much rake in that car to get through there securely, that if you were to make your car work in turn 3 perfectly, you're probably going to plow everywhere else. So these guys have had to balance their cars out, figure out which turns they want to be the best in. and then have to manage themselves in the other. And I think turn 3 is one of those that some of these guys have worked to get their cars secure and be able to get off that bottom lane really good, and others have just said, I'll deal with it. I'll manage throughout. I'll do what I need to do. And at this point of the run, when you see tires starting to wear, you're going to see sides slipping, you're going to see who decided to really pay attention to turn 3 for a long run.
15.
I also want to... go ahead.
No, I was say 15 in the 5 battling, but I was going to ask you, Jeff, just really quick, for those who may be a little bit more casual or fixed setup drivers like me, can you explain rake to those as if we're 5 years old?
Yeah, so for this next gen car, it's different than we've ever had with any NASCAR cars. Most, you see in real life Xfinity trucks, or say that even Gen 6 or prior Cup car, you would have the front end smashed to the ground, the rear end up in the air, getting all that down fast you can. With this Gen 7 car, and with the new diffusers on the rear end, you want the front end high in order to give the rear end diffuser some air. So basically the rake measurement that most people use is the front blocks that are on this car right around where the vents are on the front of the car to the rear end blocks, and that's basically the difference between those two heights. So you usually want from anywhere between 0.7, 0.8 inches of difference between the front and the rear end. And it looks like right now Robert Anderson's trying to show that maybe he has a little bit more rake than Clayton Hoffman into the tunnel.
He's going to sail it down on the low side, which has been detrimental in the past, but he's able to get clear through the tunnel turn. New leader, Robert Anderson, and that actually opened the door. Now Robert Miller trying to make that move up into second, follow him through the door, and he will. He's going to get clear as well. Now, oh no, things go from bad to worse for Clayton Hoffman, because here comes Matt Long also sticking him to the high side. He's going to try to get a little bit of a side draft, which, as you said, Jeff, may not be very effective anymore, but that's not going to stop these drivers from trying it. And all of that battling has actually allowed Matt DeCiani and Andrew Dyson to actually catch back up, because they were starting to slip back. They were almost at the point of detaching from this lead group after all that battling that DeCiani had with Matt Long. But now that these guys have kind of slowed themselves down a bit, they were able to, I'm going to use Corey's favorite word, what is it you always say? Coagulate. They were able to coagulate into this group here.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's a word, but it is fun to say.
It is, and you say it about every 3 sentences.
Which is perfectly fine, because I like doing it. But either way, here comes the 92 starting to fall back to Ciani, voluntarily going to the third lane there in turn number 3, which can be advantageous. Speaking of things that are advantageous, that 15 having some speed, trying to take the position from the number 5. He's going to get in the draft here. The 5 not blocking the draft, which he was doing last night. Kind of keeping that straight shot down the long straightaway here, but let's see if the 15 can get the bite at the exit of the corner and battle him into the tunnel. But looks like Anderson's going to get the run, but the draft very powerful here at Pocono.
Yeah, and one thing that we see here, like we said, with all this draft and importance of draft, one thing that we see similar here compared to all the other tracks we go to is people being a little upset with each other, I would say, on the radio. We saw that top 6 basically check out from the rest of the field. They were single file. They were minding their own business, not really trying to make any moves on each other to build that gap. Now Clayton drops back from the lead to 3rd. Some other people try to pass him. And all of a sudden now Alex Murray's gained about a second, I think, on this front 6 group. So we got to be smart here. We know we still have about 7 laps to go on the stage. I don't think they're going to catch him. But at this point, it looks like Robert Miller is hoping that nobody catches him as he takes the lead off of turn 1.
But he didn't get a run off the corner at all. That opens the door for Anderson to do a crossover move. He's going to go side by side down the long pond. And back in the day, I'd say if you were on the outside, you don't want to battle on there on the long pond, but you can go side by side in there. You can go full send and try to make it happen. But the 5 washes up a little bit of a door tap there, and the 15 will persevere.
That's just good hard racing right there. These guys are going for it. I'm not sure if these guys have any plans on flipping the stage. If they're racing this hard, I think they're going for that stage win. And that was a moment. I mean, Miller last lap, when he made that pass for the lead, he had to take such a shallow entry that it just completely scuffed away the momentum. And Bobby just about made the most of it. But as they came out of the corner, it was kind of a game of chicken. And I guess Robert Miller won this time, but I don't think that's the last game they're going to play, because that 5 has been fast all the way through D2 and all the way through this race now. So he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, and as I was saying, those two side by side, they had, when they were single file, they had broken away almost by a second from third place. Now all of a sudden, the top five all lined up in a straight line. Desiani dropping a little bit back from them, but this opens up the field for it to be a little bit more of a draft-heavy situation here coming to the end of the stage. Can Robert Miller get somebody to go with him, and then, you know, Robert Anderson's left out to dry, or can Robert Anderson get somebody to push him by for the stage win? It's going to be interesting here coming 5 to go.
Dustin Hall a little bit further back, having some issues and continually dropping back here. It's Andre, you talk about lack of sleep. I am right there with you, and I got a 6-hour drive ahead of me in the morning. So yeah, we're already losing here. But speaking of losing it, Dustin Hall already down 9-10 spots here on the evening in that one car, so I definitely going to need to make some adjustments here, or maybe flip the stage, perhaps, as Jedi crosses him up there, gets right in front of him, clears him with no space whatsoever, and there goes SOB trying to draft with him down the back straightaway. This is all in the later end of the teens right now.
Yeah, I think this is the group that you're going to see try to flip the stage if they can, because they already know they're not going to get stage points. They're so far back from the top 10 that the likelihood of gaining enough positions to get those stage points is basically nil. So you might as well come down pit road and try to get yourself that track position early, especially with how important it's been. But look at this, 4 position, 78 machine looks low, but man, that draft train up top is going to tell him not today. He's going to have to concede that as they go down into turn 1. You got SOB, Dustin Hall, nobody calls him Jedi, just sailing it into the corner. And that's the one thing about Pocono here is they go too wide again. And we noticed it in D2, but it really seems like, oh, big smoke out of the corner.
We got some problems up front. The top 3 got together, or 3rd, 4th, and 5th got together a little bit off turn 1. And they are now wide back. It looks like maybe Matt Long got some contact and almost went around.
Yeah, well,
yeah, Matt Long he's back to 7th now. He was running 4th. It's 2 seconds between our leaders in that group. So let's take a look at the BTR TV replay, see exactly what happened. Keep around that 97 and the 92. I think it's going to be a bit of a nudge.
Wiggle,
it is.
A wiggle that got finished off, essentially. And if you're a 97 fan, kudos to Dyson there for saving you.
Yeah, and not getting launched back into traffic by the bumps.
Yeah, that's what I was saying there. At the end of these runs, you're going to see some people hanging on for dear life. I was one of them. For most of the week, I was able to get my car a little bit more under control before I ran a race the other day. You manage to drive this car. You want to drive it off the right rear at most tracks, just so you can get that turn out of it, and especially at a place like this with 3 different turns. You don't want to be plowing. You don't want to tear the right front off it, but at the same time, you want to have rear grip, and it's such a tough line to walk. I've been on both sides of it. One change makes the car undrivable. As we see one car right there. Is that
was
long again?
Yeah. I think that was some wall impact there. We'll verify that.
That was almost uncontrollable right there, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a long night, but
yeah, looks like he maybe just got those left sides on that seam, and it just took off on him.
That's the thing coming out of turn 3. Once that car does start to get a little loose, you go to correct it, and as soon as you correct it, that car just wants to careen into that outside wall, and there's really not a whole lot you can do to stop it. So it's definitely proving to be the most treacherous part of the track, like you pointed out, Jeff.
A tough thing right now for these guys, especially someone like him, is, we said he was 15 points out right now on the cut line, which means every point for him in this race is going to matter. He's now outside playoff points for this race. Not playoff points, overall stage points with 2 to go. Pit road has closed. Tonight he was 15 points behind the 62 coming into this race. Pearson isn't racing tonight. So any stage points, any points in general that Matt Long can get are huge to him. So, if he would have finished 3rd or 4th where he was for a few laps ago up there in the top 5, that would have been 7 points. He would have cut that distance in half right away. Doesn't matter where he finishes. So it's a tough deal here, but Robert Miller looks like he's going to come around to the white flag for the stage, and he has a healthy lead over Anderson.
Looks like Lucas is once again cutting the track in half somehow. I don't know how that's quite possible. He's scoring with a 21-4. He's taking the road course. He's just taking the access road. But he has raced his way up inside the top 10, currently running 9th. Jim Schofield ahead of him. Matt White, Andrew Dyson, Alex Murray, Matt DiCiani. Lap times are all pretty close, I would say. Up front, all kind of in that 54-second bracket, with the exception of Hoytsma, who's now being updated to a 55. That's looking a little bit more accurate than the 24. There goes the number 12, Nolan Hodgson. He's battling with Kenny Powell. These guys trying to sort that out. You got the 38, Brandon Pierce, in that highlighter yellow 38. Trying to be Paul Menard, I think, for the last 2 years or so in that paint scheme, but he is trying to hope those guys sort it out so he can maybe get a position. But in the meantime, white flag of this stage. Robert Miller, no competition from behind. Anderson fell back just a ways and onto the front straightaway. It is going to be number 15 taking the stage, followed by Robert Anderson, Clayton Hoffman, Matt DiCiani, Andrew Dyson, Alex Murray, Matt White, Jim Schofield, Lucas Hoytsma, and Mark Padgett.
There you go.
And there it is. And also, am I in the Twilight Zone, or did the flag man always have an idle animation, like when he's not waving the flag?
Yes, I think they added that a few builds ago. You know, he wants to stay on top of things. Barney up there, it can get lonely. It can get boring if we stay green flag for him. So he's got to do something. Doesn't want to get any pins and needles. So
Barney was one of the when the Pro Invitational era started. Two of the biggest things they mentioned were getting the stickers into the cockpits and having the flagman be more natural looking and waving the flag more timely. So, yeah, Barney has been given some, I think, better training. No longer is he just looking at an e-learning. He actually got some legitimate training.
Yeah, because I could have sworn he didn't have an idle animation back in the day, but I guess he does now. He's still going at it with that caution flag. He's letting everybody know.
Yeah, he still has that. He's still chopping that tree down there. Was letting everybody know, but we will coagulate, as I say for the first time here tonight, behind the iRacing 2005 pace car. I think almost a 20-year-old Mustang leading us down here for the first overall caution of the race. I think, right? This is the So stark difference compared to last night, but Miller.
Well, not really, because stage 1 was pretty clean last night too.
I was trying to create some good vibes and not carry into the same line as last night. So hopefully you didn't jinx it.
Oh, come on. You know me better than that, Corey. I don't do good vibes, only pessimism.
Okay, maybe that's why I spent too much time with you. One memory feels with me. But here we come, and we'll get ready. Not a soul decided to flip the stage. So all that drama, all that strategy we were talking about. Wah, wah.
Well, it's only stage 1. They could definitely, and I think it's going to be more valuable when it comes to the final stage, when that track position may lead to an actual race win as opposed to a stage win. So what we're seeing here, I don't know, you've done more races than I think either of us, Jeff, but I think we might see strategy pick up later in the race.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because, like I said, we go green for that second stage. Probably we'll have about 60 laps to go in that second stage till 95. So it's 60 laps. You can go about 40 on a tank. I think it's going to be tough for some of these guys to pit twice during that stage. I think everybody's going to pit around that halfway point of the stage, but you never know. You could have some guys that pit really early, and you could have some guys that wait it out and hope for a caution. I know I've seen some guys this week that have stayed out 10, 11 laps more than other people, and all of a sudden a caution comes out, and now all of a sudden they're up there in the top 5, and it works out for them because they have enough speed to stay up there. But one car we need to watch on this restart is going to be Alex Murray, because he came from 23rd to 5th.
How did he do that?
I think he took 2 tires.
He took 2. He's going to be on the stage.
Pit stop 13.9. I believe that was a 2-tire stop.
I'm going to double check down here with my guys in the box, and
we're going to.
No, that was it looked like it was a full 4-tire stop.
Wow, it was. The left side went up. Dude, what?
How?
What is his pit crew?
Bring him on up here. Let's solve this mystery. What's he feeding them?
Give me one moment to see if I can find him. Alex Murray, you got a copy?
I got you.
Alex, I got one question. What are you feeding your pit crew? Because that was probably the fastest stop I think I've seen all weekend.
I just answered Robert. I told him I was feeding him crack, so...
That's kinda what I was thinking.
illegal. Don't get yourself banned.
But no, I don't know where that came from. I think just pit stall selection. Qualified really bad, really poorly on my second lap at the wall, so I think I lucked out with the pit stall. But car's really good. Now that we're in clean air, we can see what we can do.
Yeah, I mean, we saw you, just carving your way through the field. You made more passes, I think, than anybody else on your green, and now you got clean track in front of you. I mean, how's the outlook for the stage? Feeling pretty good?
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. Survival. Draft track, as always, is survival. Just putting yourself in the right position, not giving them the right side of your car to side draft off of, and hopefully we can be there at the end.
All right. Well, it looks like the lights are off on the pace car, so we'll put you back with your team, but good luck, Alex.
Or thank you, guys.
So, I was thinking exactly what he said, but I'm not the one that said it, Damaris.
Yeah, we do not desire those references or metaphors, but they were used.
Actions or allusions to illicit substances, legalese, yada yada yada. Anyways.
But can we also point the fact that Pocono has now been grouped into the category as a drafting track?
That's something.
Hold the phone here. Hold the phone. What is Lucas doing? He's getting even faster now.
Oh, man. I wonder if he's having... Yeah, I think he's having some sort of connection
his lap
issues
time
there.
his lap time is changing every time he blinks out. These are anomalies I've never even witnessed before, but supersonic lap times here. I would love to know the average lap speed of a 2.5 mile track at 5 seconds. It must be like 600 miles an hour, but I just know the math on how to do that. I don't remember how to do it anymore. It's some simple equation, but still beyond my current computational abilities here. But let's see if the 22 can hang on. Miller back to 5th now, so that he had a 42-second time in the pit, so he had a 2-second longer pit time from cone to cone. So not managing the speed or something going on there, and he'll have to work his way back up. But let's get stage 2 back underway. Murray's going to get a fair jump there. Let's see if the 92 drops back in the line. He will, and the rest will drag race off into the corner.
Let's see that low line not getting the best jump. Clayton Hoffman and Alex Murray going to get out to an early 1-2. Bobby Anderson in 3rd. Behind him, you've got Andrew Dyson trying to take 4th away from Robert Miller. Andrew Dyson, again, has been pretty fast tonight. Hasn't quite got out to the lead, but definitely shown the paces. Behind him, Lucas Hoytsma, another car that's kind of worked his way up through the field. He started a little bit further back, and it might be those 5-second lap times helping him out to get up here, but we'll keep an eye on him. Although I do know, and it's something I haven't mentioned in a while, but if a driver blinks enough, eventually they will get a warning by the admins, and they will basically be told, hey, you need to pull over, put yourself in a safer position, get away from the leaders until this clears up. And it seems like the blinking is only getting worse for Lucas, so hopefully he is not told to pull off the track, but it would be understandable if something were to occur.
Of course, as a producer here, making this stream, I do have to kind of not show him as much as possible because it is kind of off-putting here to have the focus car continuously going in and out. So hopefully that does clear. Brandon Pierce down 16th now. Looks like this is the first battle on track here. Let's go focus back up front because I think it is closing up front. Looks like Hoffman, well, he didn't get off a 2, but he was pretty close to Murray there through the Long Pond straightaway anyways. Robert Anderson trying to take advantage of that. And again, Dyson, let's just go back to Dyson for a second, guys. Obviously the road course connoisseur here, but he has been turning up the wick in D1 and D2, and he's not just a road course threat anymore. Andrew Dyson and even Neil Pearson, they're just threats now on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, and something to note that we didn't, we were talking about earlier, but we didn't mention it. We were talking about different types of teammates and working together and such. A new thing is, I think it was a couple weeks ago, Andrew Dyson is now on that team with Robert Anderson. So those guys are teammates up there. both on Dirty South. Like I said, that changed, I want to say 2 weeks ago, that they are both on the same team now. So Dirty South has a couple of their cars up there in the top 10. At least 2 of them right on the side of each other. So maybe they're going to try to work together here to take the lead from those 2 that are trying to skip away in first and
Kenny
second.
Powell running Pocono BR right now.
Yeah, he made it 3 wide there on the outside, and it's actually working. He's going to follow Matt White through these guys. DeCiani going to have to fall back a little ways and give up that position. But, yeah, I mean, he went way wide, and he's going to do it again. Look at this, just shooting to the outside.
Yeah, and like I think it was Alex Murray said earlier, you know, letting someone get to your right rear is a death threat, most likely, at a track like this. So, especially down in a corner that's tight, you know, you get down there on the right rear into 1, you get down there on the right rear going into 3. Those 2 turns are passing opportunities on the inside or the outside. So, these guys aren't going to use the tunnel to pass most of the times, but it looks like Damaris is getting passed by a couple of cars going through there.
Hey, at least he's in the pack now, which is more than he was said in the first stage.
Yeah, he's, you know, hauling the mail a little bit better now as he's kind of with Wayne Grassy and Dustin Hall. It's always good company to have, but well, hopefully those guys can stay in this draft here as Damaris is up a couple positions from where he was last time we checked on him. But there's Robert Miller, stage 1 winner. He's currently running in 5th, and just goes to show, you know, clean air is king. Once he fell back to 5th, I mean, that's pretty much where he's ran. As we do have a caution, first caution for Kaz of the night.
Oh,
is that a commentator's curse? My bad.
Oh, no.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
That.
I didn't do it. I did it. Well, let's go and how did he done do it?
Oh, I think he didn't undo it.
Or did Matt Long done do it?
Oh, Wayne Grassy might have done it.
Oh, and that's Dustin Hall. Yeah, that's just bad luck. Let's go from the top-down perspective here, and yeah, we might have to go on board with Wayne Grassy here and kind of follow up on what led to that contact.
Yeah, I mean, not my place to assign blame, but it definitely looked like he done did it. I don't know. The one was coming down a little bit too.
But he was still in the second seam though. So
yeah, let's say it was a little bit of column A, column B, one going up, one coming down. I don't know. I can't blame Wayne Grassy anymore. I feel bad. I blame him for so much. I gotta cut him a break.
Yeah, it's a tough deal there. You know, early on in this run here, you know, you see these guys doing. You know, they're trying to pass whatever they can. I thought we saw Wayne get by Damaris there, and I think Dustin followed him through, and then Dustin tried to get by Wayne, and you know, maybe Wayne just overcooked it a little and slid up the track, and Dustin was just in that path. So tough deal for them. We were talking about strategy earlier, and you know, I said 50 laps, 60 laps, not going to be much strategy in this stage. There could be some strategy now though. You know, 50 laps left in this stage. You come down, you pit right now. You probably can just take about 5 gallons and make it. You wouldn't have to take tires under green if these guys, you know, everybody does pit. So we'll see here. These guys in the back, do they want to top off and have a chance at shortening that first?
Let's see. We had a lot of faking out last night, and
yeah,
looks like they're going to follow. But Mark Paget, the first one, I think he was back there at 12th or 13th.
Oh,
he is
Barty.
coming.
Don't throw your shoulder out there, buddy.
We have about 7, I think, on pit road here.
We saw some absurd fake-outs last night in D2, and it's kind of continuing. And I mean, it makes sense. This is got to be the widest straightaway, I think, in all of NASCAR. So you got to make a pretty severe swerve to get down to pit road in the first place. But like Jeff said, 7 cars down pit road, Damaris among them. So a little bit of strategy here breaking out. I've seen the 41 as well. Jason Taylor coming down pit road. He's the strategy king. We do have somebody in the waiting room. Looks like we're going to have a word with Bobby.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and have a talk with him. All right, Bobby, Corey, and the boys in the booth, you got us?
Hey, I got you.
All right, D2 last night was going really well for you until you absolutely got obliterated there on the Long Pond straightaway, but so far a good start here to D1. Track position is obviously key, and you don't have the lead, but you're right up here in it. How's that 5 car handling tonight?
Yeah, it's really good. It's starting to loosen up long run. So times are starting to fall off. We're trying to figure out what we want to do with pit strategy here. But, overall good. I mean, I'm able to keep up here with the lead.
Now, we know we've heard, obviously, track position be the big name of the game here, and, it's tire strategy, flipping stages. So how much of that is going through your mind here? How much of that do you have to pre-plan of, do I want to flip a stage? Do I want to run it dry? Like, how much do you have to plan your strategy here where Pocono kind of races like a road course?
Yeah, I think we're doing that almost as much as we are racing. It's just so hard to pass out here. So a lot of pit strategy, and I'm sure someone's decision about that tonight will win them the race.
Well, I mean, let's see if it's going to be you, man. You've been up there. You deserve it. So let's just see if you could put the Kellogg's in victory lane for us.
Thanks, guys.
Look, I like Bobby, but a Kellogg's Toyota in victory lane.
He had a Chevy once. It must have been an accident. I thought
he used to run the Chevy all the time. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, is he trying to allude that Terry Labonte would have driven a Chevy if had they been available in their late 90s, early 2000s? As a Texas native, I mean, that would never have happened.
Look, all I'm saying is when I hit the lottery, first thing I'm doing is bringing back Pontiac.
I'm right there with you.
What about you, Jeff? You in on this Pontiac business endeavor?
I would love it. I'd love if we could see more manufacturers in the sport, and I think Pontiac maybe it can come back, maybe with Stuart Haas. They could use as much help as they could right now, and if that means Pontiac comes back, then that's the best option in my opinion.
I had to trade in my 2005 Pontiac Grand Prix because that was when gas spiked to about $5 a gallon, I think, momentarily in the early 2010s, and I just couldn't afford about $150 a week in fuel. So I had very, very depressing times how to get rid of that car, but now I want it back. So, Andre, please make it happen. Make Pontiac great again.
Yeah, if only we could bring it back. But you know what still exists? Buicks are still a thing. They could always come back to NASCAR. There's a subsidiary of Ford, so maybe we're going to see the Kellogg's Buick out front.
Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a Nissan Maxima before we see that, but maybe an Accord. It's going to be something overseas, but that's neither here nor there. But what is here is the restart here, lap number 43, so still about 52 laps to the stage, well out of any kind of fuel window. So let's see how the strategy commences. Let's see how the racing comes about. Barney's going to get that flag back in the air, waving it on in. Murray gets a good jump, and as did the 5, got a good jump. Hoffman's going to have a battle on his hands.
Down into turn 1, side by side for second place. We've seen how good Anderson is. We know how good Clayton is, at least on the short run here. He's going to work that outside lane, get clear, and try to get back to Murray's bumper and see if they can get a little bit of a gap on the rest of the field into the tunnel. Captain
Blanky right behind Miller here. It must be very off-putting for these guys, particularly on a restart. So you have that side-by-side battle with White and Powell there. Ooh, tight quarters there off of 2. And 3 wide, just a little bit further back.
Pretty sure Blinky was a name of one of the ghosts in Pac-Man. So if he keeps that up, he may have to run a Pac-Man themed scheme. But in the meantime, look at this battle. Matt DiCiani, Ralph Hutchison, actually racing 2 weeks in a row. That's probably the first time in quite a while we've seen Matty consecutively racing here, at least this season. So he's trying to make a move on the 4. As the leaders have it easy, they've single filed out, but these guys, life's not being made so easy for them as they are still trying to find what lane they can stick their car in and hope that it stays there as they rocket out of turn 1. There's Adam Benefiel, a.k.a. John Daly himself, rocking that patriotic 83. Love that paint scheme. So he's going to try to get around the 78, Bruno Melo. See if he can do it.
Yeah, and the tunnel turn is a tough spot to pass people. Like we said, it's possible. It's just tough. And depending on who that car is on your outside, some people are going to just give up that spot and say, I'm not going to risk this. And some people are going to stick it right on your door and make sure they make you earn it. And it looks like that's what Bruno did. And they're still side by side down the front stretch.
Well, Hoffman had a run, but he's just going to give the old shove. Not going to show the the optimistic move there. Speaking of optimistic moves, there goes Jim Schofield, top of the shot, taking a look underneath Nolan Hodson there, but he will not make that move. Look at O'Brien there, right on the edge of a top 10, so making some headway in that number 24, and then all that battling we saw. Matt DeCiani back outside the top 10 now, so not sure what instigated that. He was a top 5 car. Now he is falling, again, outside of the top 10, but still plenty of time to go.
Yeah, I think that the thing about this track, and I've witnessed it, you know, on a race I ran Thursday night, you can, if your lane goes on a restart, you can gain a bunch of spots very, very quickly. And that might just be what happened to Desiani there. Maybe just his lane didn't go on the last restart. He lost a couple spots. And then again on this restart, maybe his lane just didn't go. We saw the bottom kind of bunched up for a little bit. When you lose those spots on the restart, you can't do anything. You know, we can't switch lanes before we get to the line. And if you're stuck on that outside line and they check up in front of you, you're screwed. As now it's like contact before Benefield and Mello.
Benefield and Mello, off of turn number 1 there, and or turn number 2, if you believe it's a 6-turn track. Made a little contact there, and Mello carries on just fine. Benefield goes back to near 20th and is in a hornet's nest here. I remember back in the day, the tunnel turn, single file, no chance of running side by side. I don't know when that changed, but these guys will go 3 wide through that tunnel now. It is crazy here as they still remain 2x2. And look at them fan out in turn 3. Multi-groove Pocono BR engaged.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't want to go through the tunnel turn 2 or 3 abreast, but they don't really have a choice. I think the draft is just keeping them so close together that, I mean, they got to go somewhere. So I do want to point out Kevin Steele. He's gained quite a few positions since the start of the race. He was pretty much all the way back, shotgun on the field, and now up into, I believe, 16th. So, you know, slowly but steady, and he's not been driving in sim. He's more of a, I would say he's more of an MX Bikes aficionado these days, but...
That's Benefield with the elevator move. Ooh, Mobley there. He had some issues last night. I think he's going to play conservative. Does just that. Kyle Amoon there. We haven't talked about him all day. He's running a 19th spot in the number 25 car. Use my terrible putt. It's not days gone by, it's cars gone by as he goes and loses some spots.
Yeah, it looks like actually Dalton Mobley was on the rumble strip, which, and maybe you can kind of stress this better than I since you're driving a little bit more, Jeff, but that rumble strip in turn 3, that's pretty lethal.
Yeah, and it really depends if your car drives well or not. You know, some people I know this week, and if their car's just really tight, they get down there on that rumble strip and they get the thing to point a little bit better. The biggest thing that I've compared turn 3 here tonight to a different type of racetrack. I know obviously it's fashioned after another type of racetrack. I think Milwaukee Mile is the turn Correct. 3. I would compare it more to a Loudon that we were at last week, because if you get that car right along that bottom seam, it gets de-wedged very quickly. Very similar to Loudon last week, where that bottom first lane would get the car pretty scary loose. So some of these guys that are struggling with a tight car might go all the way down there, might even catch that rumble strips to help their car turn, while others, obviously, most others will be far away from them.
Now, of course, the 3 corners here, everybody knows Indianapolis, which is turn number 2, Milwaukee Mile. Most people know that. The one that people don't know, the defunct Trenton Speedway that was in New Jersey, which was essentially a kidney bean racetrack. There was actually a right-hand kink on the back straightaway, which made the 3rd turn a very wide corner, with 1 and 2 being very small. I guess very awkward making a right turn on an oval, but that was the case in turn 1 modeled after that. Of course, that track basically a shopping mall or something on those lines now. Looks like Lucas Hoytsma has solved his blinking issue. Maybe he yelled at someone and told them to get off Netflix for the next 2.5 hours, but he's up to the 6th spot and trying to close in on Dyson.
The problem was that somebody tried to answer the phone and it just kicked him off the internet connection. But in the meantime, Andrew Dyson trying to stay with his lead pack, and Robert Miller as well. It's funny, we're seeing these guys stay so close together, but really not a whole lot of positions changing hands up front. I don't know if they're just trying to be patient early in this stage, or if they're just really unable to make these moves. But Alex Murray, for all the speed that he had, we've seen him passing cars like crazy. He can't break away. And that's kind of the state of
Kenny
Pocono right
Powell
now.
there.
Oh, look at that. That's a 53.3. That is on par with our leader.
It's that Pocono BR that he's running. These guys got to get good with it, because that 42, I mean, we've seen him do it in turn 3. Now, in the legacy version, for us iRacing old-timers here, the legacy version of Pocono has a grip strip in the 3rd lane, because at some point they had to repave a lane here in turn number 3 at Pocono. And because at the time the pavement was so old, that pavement strip in the 3rd lane became so much faster that you actually kind of had a pseudo multi-groove track here, which carried over into the sim. But now that this is repaved, you don't really see that. We don't have the resin, the PJ1. We just have a natural surface. So seeing that 3rd lane work, definitely interesting to see, because I didn't think it would. Oh, Nelly, Tanner Marty fenced it. That's Matt Long.
Somehow everybody keeps it going. I don't know how. That could have been very, very bad. But for Matt Long, the woes continue tonight.
It's not his night. It's really nothing that he's done wrong. It seems like just getting caught up in stuff. But we'll go on board with Matt Long. Keep an eye on that 77 in front of him, because in front of those two, you've got Kyle Ammon, who was side by side with Tanner Marty, and just a little bit tight out of the corner, bit of a door check,
Yeah,
and then
just nothing you can do about that.
No, I mean, he could have cranked that wheel full lock left, and it wasn't turning any sharper.
Yeah, it looked like Ammon might have gotten a little bit tight loose there, that little bit of a wiggle. And like you said, once this car gets a little bit upset, you're kind of just along for the ride. And sadly, Tanner Marty was in the way of that ride. So everyone continues, a little bit of damage for everyone, but no race-ending damage yet, at least. Those guys are probably praying for the end of this stage, though, to get that damage fixed. But they're still going to have to wait about 40 laps for that.
Now, interesting to note that, it's kind of going back. We're 20 laps into this stint now, so still quite a ways to the stage. But Miller started in 5th. Remember, he got through, took the lead from, 3rd or 4th, managed to take the lead, but now we're 20 laps into this run, and he's only picked off one guy, so that shows the speed of that top 4 now that Murray has that clean air, Hoffman has that clean air, we know that Anderson has a fast car. Miller just cannot make any headway.
Now, none of these guys can really make any aggressive passes right now. Maybe as the tires start to wear, we'll see some drivers that just did a slightly better job at conserving, and maybe they can make a pass through that. But in the meantime, they're just kind of running a train right now, single file out front, except for, as I say that, my own driver is going to try to prove me wrong. Robert Miller dives down to the bottom, trying to make a move on Anderson, very reminiscent of when this move would have been for the lead earlier in the race, but now for the final step on the podium, 3rd place, going to take that shallow entry. And remember, last time we saw him enter the corner down there, it ruined his exit. So we'll see, can Bobby Anderson replicate that crossover? No, he's going to have to whip, concede the position, and Miller up to 3rd.
Now, Jeff, you were not here last night, so I'm not sure the legalities on this, but I would assume it's fine. We didn't get to do any. We didn't get to hear about your company that has, or the company you work for that has. You had some good affiliations in there at Loudon. If you want to do our 100% sponsor plugs.
Yeah, Sousa Media, a friend of us on D2 Friday nights, but obviously, like you said, last night I wasn't there. So tonight, I'll let you know, Sousa Media at Loudon, we had a couple of guys in the modified race, one in the Xfinity race having his best finish, Patrick Emmerling. We had the top 3 podium spots in the modified race as well. So Sousa Media, if you want your brand to get out there, your team, your company, whatever you need sponsored and plugged, call Sousa Media. Go to the Facebook page down in the spot in the comments below. They'll help you put anything you want on Facebook and get your name out there to hopefully at least get some sponsors to your way if you're a racing team, or get some customers into the door. So Sousa Media, check them out. Kyle Sousa runs a great ship over there with a couple different employees he has as well. So check them out, and they'll be able to help you with anything that you need.
Yeah, how'd that feel to have a media credential badge into Loudon last week, Captain Fancy?
Yeah, it's honestly great. I love Loudon. It's a fun track. I love going there. Got some really nice pictures while I was up there, which still need to be posted, but being on pit road when the Cup guys are coming down to take pit stops, or even when Kyle Busch wrecked in qualifying. I got that a few pictures of that actually. So it's fun, and it's a lot different experience than just sitting down and watching a race for sure.
You can see the interesting endeavors there down the front straightaway. Ralph Hutchison was all the way down there to the almost to the checkered flag pavement there on the front straightaway, trying to break the draft here as he is working heavily on Bruno Mello there. And then just behind that you have Kevin Steele working on Chad Gunnigsman right now, and he will try to take that endeavor down to the bottom of the track. See that right rear kicking out. He's a little bit loose, trying to get that bite down there, and he's going to lose that momentum, so try to gate a position may actually cost him, as Matt DiCiani thought he was going to have a run, but he will be nice and just play back in line.
Yeah, and at this point of the run, you know, like I said, we're going to 95 to the end of the stage here. For those that did not pit, that pit window has now opened. I would say at least definitely has opened. For obviously you'd be going almost a full run to the end of this stage, but it's been opened, and some of these guys might be thinking about pitting early if you're towards the rear maybe, and you think you can leapfrog some people, gain some spots. It's going to benefit, but if you look at this field, it's a lot more broken up than it was in that first stage. You know, you have the top 5 right now. They have about 2 seconds over Matt White in 6th. Then he's got about half a second back to Kenny Powell, Lucas Hoytsma. They're by themselves in 7th and 8th. Then you have another 2 seconds or so back to Sean O'Brien, who's leading another pack of cars. It's just, there's so much of a gap between the whole field
and
right now that then you have Damaris back there, the male. Always running behind.
Been a bit of a rough night for that 00. But you never know. Long race, things could definitely change. We're gonna don't show him, Corey, because he's just gonna wreck again. We're gonna give him the curse. Yeah, there we go. That'll cancel it out.
Oh,
No, it hasn't. Dustin Hall wrecks in front of him.
Stay green though. Let's go back and see what happened to Mr. Dustin here underneath Tanner Marty, who's involved in essentially everything that ever happens.
And he just got loose there.
Yeah,
looks
nothing
like.
wrong with Tanner, but just always manages to be in the shot of a wreck, and then Damaris had to take a guess of where to go, and luckily had enough space to choose the right line.
You know what? Because he drew the X, he wasn't involved in that.
Yes. So
yeah,
we'll do reverse psychology here for Dustin.
Yes.
Now you're good.
Wait, no. I think we just recursed him with that.
Well, I guess, we got 101 laps to find that out. And battle for the lead. Talked about Miller not making any headway, and I guess all I had to do was say you're not moving, and he moved.
So that's the reverse commentator curse, apparently, is Robert Miller made that move look pretty effortless. And again, this is on a longer run. What I'm seeing from this race is that it's only once the tires start to wear that kind of opens up the possibility for passing.
26 laps here, and we'll go ahead and switch over to lap time. So as a reference, the best lap of the race for Robert Miller was a 53.25. So again, now 20 some odd laps into the stint, dropped off about 0.7 of a second, and you can see that some serious cloud cover has came over the Pocono Raceway here. Let's go ahead from the top down, Cam. You can see, the entirety of the speedway. A little bit of sun maybe in turn 1, but very much clouded here. Our track temp gone down about 4 or 5 degrees here as we've elapsed about an hour.
Yeah, and this is where that window opens, and I think something you might be seeing here, and I know from experience, if these guys want to leapfrog each other when they do pit, as you said, 0.8 of a second right now fall off from Miller, 7 to 8 seconds, tenths of a second. If you're Alex Murray and you don't think you have the car to beat him on a long run here, or at least to stay ahead of him maybe, duck behind him. And now you have that dictation of when are you going to pit, and he's not going to pit with you, because if you pull off turn 3 and come down pit road, the chances that he's going to be able to get the brakes on. And I know we didn't even talk about it much because we haven't had green flag stops so far in a race this week, but this pit road is difficult to get on because that speeding line is basically immediately where the wall is. So a lot of these guys, usually you go to a pit road, you have that wall and then about maybe 50 feet until the pit speed line. Here it's basically right at those cones, so you know, some of these guys are going to try to leapfrog each other by just getting on pit road and getting fresh tires a lap early. You might be able to get a second on somebody. Obviously, this main pack's the only one that's going to benefit from that right away, but so far they're kind of just minding their own business, driving away from everybody else.
Yeah, driving away they are. If you look at the timing and scoring, Andrew Dyson is almost 3 seconds up on the next car back, and that's the first car in the second pack, Matt White, 48, trying to work his way a little bit closer to the leaders, but he's kind of in no man's land. He doesn't have anybody behind, nobody in front. Go on board, you can see he's kind of off in a very lonely place right now, and I feel like he may fall back to the clutches of Lucas Hoytema simply because he's not in the draft. And here we have a bit of a tandem going on with the 07 and the 42, so these guys may be able to catch up to him.
Yeah, very interesting to see. Now, let me just pull up a lap perspective here. We'll kind of relate it in terms of Lucas Hoytema right now. Hoytema at a 54.2 to a 54.1, so even by himself, without any help of Slipstream, still a tenth faster for the 48 car.
That is pretty impressive. I did not expect that because really, in all of the race last night and in all of the big boy race tonight, we haven't really seen one car be able to pull away from multiple just because of the draft. So that 48 might have something under the hood.
Yeah, well, something to play with here, and he's, unfortunately for him though, last time by 0.3 of a second slower than our race leader. And speaking of other drivers managing to pull out and separate from the pack, our top three, but namely that 15. So I talked about 10 laps ago, well, wow, he hasn't made a position gain since the restart. He's like, hey, watch my beverage of choice here as I go and just pick him off in a matter of a few minutes. And now he is just pulled completely away by a half second and running about a tenth of a second faster a lap than Hoffman.
I might have missed something here.
Oh, did you?
I might have missed something here, but did we see Andrew Dyson pit?
We didn't see him pit, but he did pit. So, along with Bobby Anderson, they have came out in tandem style, 27th and 28th, both 40 seconds behind the leader. As a reference, pit lane time here is 40 seconds. So in a theoretic world, if everybody else was to pit, they would be right there in their exact track position. But indeed the case, with 30 laps to go in the stage, first strategy call has been commenced.
I think it's a good decision on their behalf there, because it looked like they were starting to lose that top three. So, you know, you're going to lose the top three, you might as well drop down to pit road, especially if you had a teammate. Drop down to pit road, get yourself some fresh Goodyear tires, full tank of fuel, make it to the end of the stage, and now have that, well, hopefully have that track position once we get green. But it looks like Robert Miller on the radio calling out, putting that hand out the window, is he might be coming down this time.
It's a very tricky entrance to pit road. You're going to see him slip slide a little bit and make the very long turn down towards pit road. And like you said, Jeff, the speed limit line is pretty much where you see the painted line, so don't have a lot of time to get woed up. But I think Robert shouldn't have any issues here, bringing her down in second gear to the pit box. And when it comes to pitting, I think all these guys should be worried, because clearly Alex Murray has the steroid pit crew. I don't know if that's going to listen. Maybe that's a reference that shouldn't be made. But either way, he's got the super crew, and whenever he comes down, we'll see what happens.
Which these other drivers won't want to give that up, because, you know, on a normal circumstance, if the fall off, as Barry slaps the fence, with the fall off being 0.7 of a second, you're not going to want to give that much up, especially knowing you have to pit. There is no alternative plan. And also on a track like this, where you do stay on the lead lap, if a caution was to come out now and everybody else pitted and you're the one that stays out, you are at a detriment. So you really, once the first blood has been drawn, you don't want to stay out any longer than necessary.
Looks like we got another handful coming down right now, because some of the EPI guys, it looks like Benefield, Essiani, and a couple others.
Gunnigsman.
Yeah, you know, part, pitting with friends. That's another big thing for here. We talking about how big of a drafting deal this is. It looked like, so last lap, Clayton Hoffman ran a 54.2, Murray ran a 54.2, and Anderson and Dyson that we talked about earlier, they ran 7s. That 7 and 8 that last lap, which honestly is a little bit slower than I would think they would be, but looks like Robert Miller joined in right in front of Anderson and Dyson, so they didn't gain as much time as we thought they were going to, pitting a couple laps early.
And now they have the detriment of 4 laps of tires to 1 lap. So whether that means anything tangible here at Pocono with this current tire, to be announced, but definitely worth noting.
And I like Bobby applying the pressure right there.
Oh, we got trouble on pit road.
Sounds like
29.
Tanner Marty, I never would have guessed. Let's see what happened to Tanner.
I don't know how that wasn't a caution. That was, oh boy, new pair of pants when he gets those tires, I think.
All
too.
looked good. That just bit.
just whipped around on him. And, I mentioned how abrupt that turn really has to be, and you got to be careful. I mean, sometimes that rear end's going to step out on you, and he made a good save there. He kept it out of the barrel, so, lost a little bit of time, but ultimately saved himself some headache later.
Is that like a rev match thing, the way that just bit to the right?
It could have been a downshift.
It's hard to explain where it would have just completely bit like that, but still waiting on 16 drivers to come to pit road. Miller is the first, of course, on fresh tires back there in 17th. So again, as I was saying at Pocono, you don't want to be the last to pit lane because the strategies will flip and you will be in the back when everybody else gets to stay out and have that good track position. So very surprised that they're staying out. Again, there's no way that you're gonna change the strategy, or you have to pit before the stage. So I'm very, very surprised why they're putting themselves in this tire detriment, but here they come now.
Yeah, both of them trying to get as much as they can. They want to stay ahead of the other guys. They don't want to get black flagged. Looks like Matt White back there going to follow them down, and a couple others, Hutchinson, Powell, Pageant, and Pierce. Everyone coming down pit road, and looks like they all made it under the speed limit as they're going to get those 4 tires and fuel. Some probably going to short fuel it here, only needing about 25 laps of fuel.
Is DeMars going to get the lap led? Let's see. He's working himself up the scoring pylon. Nope.
Not yet.
Still have, 8 more in front of him that have yet to pit. Lucas Hoytsma, Captain Blinky, is, Captain Blanky, because he's not blinking anymore, past tense. I'm sure that's not the past tense of blink. Blinked, Captain Blinked, Blinkty, Blunky, whatever you want to call him in poor grammatical efforts, he's going to come to pit lane this time by.
I'll tell you what, these cars are really dancing back and forth under braking. When they try to get down pit road, you're seeing the front end want to kind of wiggle back and forth. So it may not have even been a downshift for Tanner Marty. It might just be these cars are super unstable depending on the brake bias, and they got to get slowed down so quickly out of that turn. It's a fine line they're walking.
Yeah, I agree. And these guys, everyone has a different setup, as it looks like there may be some problems. Black flag for Alex Murray.
Oh,
the best part tonight. Looks like he was speeding on exit, I think, because he didn't have one coming into pit road. So what a tough deal for him having to take this penalty now.
Yeah, that is heartbreaking. Although I don't want to say he can't make this up. I mean, we're not even halfway through the race.
Well, what kind of penalty would this be for it to be more?
Speeding on exit, probably.
That was.
I don't know how fast that was.
He was in the box for 16 seconds.
It might have been a blue line penalty. I'm going to go back
or
and try to.
Maybe it wasn't a penalty. Maybe he just didn't have the fueling. I mean, if that was 16 seconds, maybe he didn't have the fueling checked.
My guys down here are saying it was a penalty.
Okay.
So we're going to go back here, try to find out what happened, and I'll be right back reporting.
So let me update the graphic from an exclamation to a question. Penalty?
So it sounds like it was, but it would have had to either be blue line or on exit. In the meantime, SOB leading the way in that 24 machine. He's got Nolan Hobson
39
behind
laps, mind you.
him. Yeah, he's gone a long way on fuel.
Oh,
and it looks
jeepers.
like he and Kevin Steele, as well as Nolan, going to come down and, lock up for SOB. He's going to let Nolan pull up alongside. As Kevin took a really easy entrance. He was right on their bumper coming out of the corner, and then down the pits, he said, I ain't messing around with the speeding penalty. In the meantime, Jason Taylor, Dalton Mobley, these two staying out a little bit longer. This is not a track you want to run out of fuel. If you run out of fuel going into turn 1, it's a long coast back.
Yep, so we just got word from pit road. It looks like we saw how good Alex Murray got out under that first stage caution, got to the lead. He was tiptoeing on the edge of speeding under that caution, and it looks like this time they did get him. Jumped up to about 57, 58 on pit exit. So nabbed for speeding, but like you said, so far it looks like he's gonna shuffle up one lap down, the second car 1 lap down to Tanner Marty. So he's going to have to work his butt off here to try to get by Marty. If not, he'll have to.
Well, I think he'll shuffle back out. We still are waiting on 5 cars to come in. Taylor, Mobley, Long, Drumhiller, and Hickenbottom. So once everybody pits and it cycles back, I think he'll be on the lead lap, just hardly. But hope with enough pace, he should be able to hang on. But we'll get those intervals in due course here. But 33 laps in the tank for Taylor, so realistically he could stretch it a few more. Mobley here, I'd question the fuel cell and the fuel hose in that car, because 41 laps by Atlanta.
Yeah, that's quite a ways to go. He may have some fuel line rolled up in the roll cage or something, because he's gone away. It looks like Matt Long is going to get around him here on the outside, and that's probably a sign to me that Dalton's going to be coming down this time. See if he does. Yes, he will. He's going to bring the drum hammer with him.
So now, let's see, Damaris, let's see if he can pull off a lap lead. I don't know if it's going to happen before Miller gets to him, but Miller, you can see that is the leaders right behind him, or the soon-to-be leaders just behind Damaris there. So I don't think even if everybody else pits this lap, he's going to get that lap lead. But the 41 will take advantage of the temporary spotlight here. Has a 5-second gap over Long, again waiting on these pit stops with now 20 laps to go in the stage.
The stage is winding down, and again, most of these drivers are not going to pit again. I don't think we're going to see anybody flip the stage, at least here in stage 2, but you never know. Somebody might have some crazy wild card strategy, but in the meantime, Jason really stretching the limits of his fuel tank. Matt Long looks like he's going to stay out yet another lap as well. So Jason getting some camera time. I believe he's actually, I could be wrong, I believe Jason won at Pocono a couple years ago. So a track that is familiar to him either way. And, leading some laps on strategy. But hey, leading is leading. So he's going to work his way out of the corner a little bit further back. We got a pack of cars. Adam Benefiel, Matt DiCiani, and of course, it's a Gunningsman in the 98. But I want to mention Benefiel because I don't think Benefield's really been doing Benefiel things tonight.
No.
He's been a bit of a non-factor, and that's not something you usually say about Adam. So I don't know if that setup just isn't quite working for him tonight, or maybe he's just riding around waiting for it to really get close to the end when it matters.
Or maybe he just rebels against geometric anomalies and does not like triangles. I mean,
That could be the case.
Yeah, we've seen him involved in a couple small incidents tonight. One earlier that kind of kicked him back, 5 or 6 spots early on in the restart. So I think Adam, I didn't watch last night, so I don't know if he was able to pull off any amazing heroics.
did he even run last night, Andre? I don't remember.
No, I think he was on the box for Dustin. I seen him in the Discord, but he wasn't in the race.
Well, there you go. So I saw him earlier this week in a couple of races. Again, just things not going exactly how we wanted them to in those races either. So it's a tough deal for Adam, but like we know him on Friday nights when the pay window opens, he's usually there. So with almost 80 laps here to go, coming up on halfway, there's still a lot of time for him to make up spots.
Yeah, plenty of time indeed, and apparently plenty of fuel for Jason Taylor as he continues to stay out. The would-be leaders are still about 13 seconds behind, so really no worries about it now. But when he does come down pit road, that's going to put him quite a ways down the running order because he has sacrificed so much time staying out on these old tires compared to the leaders being 7/10 a lap faster pretty much every single lap. There goes the 97 of Matt Long. So now only one more domino to fall, and that domino's name is Jason Taylor. We'll see if maybe this is the lap.
There's out there as well. Okay, don't forget about Damaris.
Ah, yes, Damaris again. So 2 dominoes yet to fall.
Damaris, as I said, we saw it on screen. He did already lose positions to those who have stayed out, so no lap lead point, and he will fall back potentially at this position. He probably will lose an entire lap. So let's go check Murray, though. Let's see where Murray is on track right now. Murray's start-finish. So when this works out, I believe he will have maybe, let's see if we can see him in the long shot here. That green car all the way off in the distance, a little dot. So yeah, I think Murray should still be on the lead lap, probably by about 10 seconds once this all fizzles out, once the 41 eventually pits, I think.
And I don't think he's at risk of losing that lead lap position either, because I really don't see Robert catching him. Even with the help of the draft, we've seen that 22 is pretty fast, so he may catch him slowly but surely. But I mean, again, we're 17 laps from the end of the stage, and it's going to take a while for him to even get up there, let alone make a move to try to lap him, which I would imagine if you're Alex Murray, if the leaders did catch up to you, you're going to play some pretty strong defenses. Whoa. He needs to use the force on his brakes. Jedi getting a little bit of lock up into the pits.
Well, now we're going to have to watch this now and see if that iRacing official lets him exit his pit stall without a detainment here, because that may have been close. Oh, did he even nail his pit box? Nope. He had to back up an inch.
Yeah, I think it's a tough deal for Jason because tonight, obviously not going exactly how he wants it to. You have a little bit of room there to play with if you're him. He's one of those guys.
Uh-oh.
Busted.
He's getting a driving award.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a penalty on my side of things for him, so maybe he was just waiting for Damaris to have a drafting partner here. I'm not sure. That's interesting. But as I was saying, he's one of those guys that's going to be a decent amount out on that cut line, so he might be in that situation where he's sitting here going, hell, I might as well stay out and maybe someone will wreck. And you know, Tanner Marty was almost his caution that he needed getting into pit road there. They didn't throw the caution, but if the caution would have come out, he would have looked like a genius there when everybody probably would have followed him down pit road under caution. But it didn't happen, and everybody has now cycled through, and that's put Robert Miller back in the lead with now Dyson right on his bumper after the early pit stop.
Yeah, now this is interesting because it was Robert Anderson that was behind Miller. But a few laps ago, Dyson got around that 5 car, and he has been reeling in our race leader. So this could be a potential battle for the stage win if Dyson closes in a little bit more.
And interestingly enough, remember, there is a tire advantage for the 15 after about 3 laps. So not much, but you know, I'd rather have the fresher than the less fresher tires. But look at the run there off of 3 down the 50. I think it's a 4,000 foot long front straightaway here. He'll draft right up to the rear deck lid, and let's see if Dyson can run a good line here, sustain, and get a good run on exit.
Yeah, let's see if we can get the fast exit here again. The draft helping pull him to the bumper. It's going to be a matter of making the move, and he's actually going to check up just a little bit. Not going to bother ducking down out of line, trying to do anything quite yet, but I don't know. Dyson's looked pretty good today. I would not be surprised if he's got a car to challenge for the lead.
Yeah, he's looking really good right now. I'm not sure what's going on with that number 5 of Anderson. I would think these two teammates have a similar package under the hood at least, so not sure if he got into the wall or something and lost second to Dyson, but he's dropping off the top 2 now, kind of outside that draft window maybe. But looks like Dyson might be better off just staying behind Miller, getting the stage points, and having a better spot at the end of this stage to start the final stage.
So we've had some love for the 33 in chat, some love for the 12. If you're tuned in, let us know who you're pulling for. And speaking of the 12, there is Nolan Hodgson trying to get around Kenny Powell. Kenny's been pretty quick tonight, and the high line has been where he's wanted to be, so probably not feeling too uncomfortable up there. But either way, looks like the 12 is going to throw a bit of a slider on him, block the run, and he's trying to make that car wide. He's blocking both lanes, boys.
Yeah, but he's doing it evenly. I'll give you some draft. Just kind of play the traffic break there and drop the stopping guard there. Make sure that you get each line equal so you can pull away. And look at the run he got off the tunnel there as they were side by side. He pulled away about half a second there. Padgett and Powell still going side by side, and then Brandon Pierce back there in 17th. As here we go, battle for the lead. Not even a battle, a lead change if Dyson can get a good run and keep it.
He is going to keep it. Robert Miller not quite able to pull the crossover, so new leader, Andrew Dyson. And guys, if he wins this race, by the way, he's going to get points for it this time. He's got the right paint scheme. We'll take a look at the PTR TV instant replay, see exactly how the lead changed hands. The 0-4 got a great run down that front straightaway. He was able to pull up to the quarter panel on corner entry, drive it in just a little bit deeper. Robert, I think, almost was getting a good enough exit to make a challenge for it, but ultimately just missed it by that much, had to fall in line. So the Aussie out front.
Yep, that was something we've seen from Dyson. Again, mostly on short tracks, but short tracks and road courses. He kind of outbroke Miller down to the turn one, just drove it in a little bit deeper, got the car under him, and was able to slide job him going off turn one. So Miller wasn't able to get the run back to him yet, but we still have 10 laps left in the stage, so Miller could just be behind him now, taking care of his stuff and plotting for when he's going to get by him.
Well, and this is where it gets fun, too, because it looks like in this race,
watch out.
Robert Miller, okay, never mind. It's not fun anymore.
There's that dirty air through the tunnel turn.
Look how good I am. I read that happening about 4 seconds before it happened. I feel skilled for a change in my life.
Yeah, he dove it in just a little deep. Now he's got some substantial damage. I mean, that right front is pancaked, and now it's going to be double pancaked coming out of the corner.
Unlimited at IHOP. You could have a sale with that number 15 car right now. And not the track to have aerodynamic damage. That'll pull Bobby Anderson back into the mix. And, I mean, it could take one caution, maybe 30 seconds of repair. He can get most of it patched back up. But if he does that, he's going to be back there in 25th, 28th spot. And no way you're getting that made back up in, what about 70 laps that we'll have to finish this thing out. So that could have been the 15 throwing it down the toilet there.
And that's a shame because I was just saying it was going to get fun because we knew that Robert Miller had a good long-run car. So he definitely had a chance at the end of this stage to try to get back around. We were going to see another battle for the lead, but that hit to the wall just, I mean, instantly ruined that. The pace in that car is gone. Bobby Anderson getting around him like nobody's business, just kind of making it look easy. Now, I know that in iRacing, the tire barriers have a different sort of collision. Obviously, it's a little bit softer to the cars. And I'm sure both of you know, and I probably don't, but does the concrete wall and the safer barrier react any differently to the cars?
I'm going to say no, but I couldn't say 100%. I remember back in NR 2003, it was basically like hitting Jello when you hit a safer barrier here, but I'm pretty sure the safer barriers from an iRacing perspective is just basically a visual difference, but same physics properties.
Gotcha.
So I would say it depends on the track and what concrete wall. I know some of the concrete walls at the newer tracks, you can definitely tell when you hit a concrete compared to a safer wall. Off the top of my head, I gotta think of one. There's one track, I can't remember what it is, but the safer wall ends rather abruptly coming off one of the turns. And if you hit the safer wall, you're just going to have a little bit of scrape on the right side. If you hit that concrete wall, you're probably breaking a toe link. And similar to one of the turns at the Roval, where you come out of that, there's a left-hander before you get back in the NASCAR oval section, where if you hit that wall on your right side that's concrete or Jersey barrier, you're probably broke. So with the next gen, I think they're, depending on the track, I think we definitely see a little bit of a difference. But
Can we talk about the one good thing? Oh, sorry about that.
Wall tonight.
Yeah, can we talk about the one good thing that ever happened from a Eutechnics game where they actually had the safer barrier that flexed when you hit it, both physically and animated fashion? As a SOB, giving some door tap there to Kenny Powell.
24 and the 42, so SOB and the anti-SOB getting a little bit contact on the doors, and it looks like Sean's getting the worst end of the stick there, but everybody's able to gather it up, and the ultimate benefactor there was Brandon Pierce. He just got ahead of those guys and has a healthy lead. Here's the Moon Man himself trying to get around Dalton Motley as well.
Oh, Nelly!
No.
That's back for a 20th. Big wobble there. Getting Days Bond guy cars gone by.
We gotta stop showing people. We're just giving the commentators curse left and right.
So what you're saying is don't show people?
Yeah, just radio style broadcast, black screen. There we go. Okay. Wait a minute, I'm not in Sims, so that's
makes things a little bit more difficult to call. There's Kenny Powell taking, oh god, he's going to risk going side by side with SOB once more, entering turn number 3 here.
Yeah, these guys have been racing very hard, and they, at this point, you know, if I were to go on the stage, they know they're not going to get to a point where they're going to get stage points. They know they need to get as many spots as they can before we go back down pit road at the end of the stage, so they're just trying to get everything they can. You saw Pierce got by both of these guys. Paget got by all these guys a little while ago, and he's now been able to race about 2 seconds ahead as they've been racing each other. So far, it looks like your top 10 right now is probably going to be your top 10 at the end of the stage, pending any significant issues between these guys up front. But, you know, you have 8th, 9th, and 10th all over each other right now. Those guys really the first battle on track.
And how about Kevin Steele gaining 16 positions throughout the course of this race? Started 28th, currently just outside the top 10, running 12th, and you can see he's really cranking on that wheel. There's a lot of counter steer through turn 3 for him, maybe kind of skating around, but either way, looks like the car is pretty good. He's going to give a huge shot to Ralph Hutchison. A little bit of a bump draft down the straightaway, never hurt anybody.
He had a good head of steam there. He probably could have pulled about halfway, went side by side, and drag raced him into one, but just gave him a little bit of a draft type move there, as they're both about 9/10 of a second away from that little trio just in front. That's Gunnigs, Min, DeCiani, and Schofield, 8th, 9th, and 10th. So that would be the last stage point on offer, is that 98. So perhaps Steele trying to give whatever kind of push he can to get to that last potential point.
Yeah, I don't really know why Kevin didn't try to make that move. I mean, as fast as he was going, he could have tried it. Maybe he's just content with where he is, but I tell you what, Kevin he's so slick through turn 3. I mean, that car is sliding around more than anybody else consistently, so I don't know what's going on there, but I'm sure you guys saw that too through the corner. He was a little bit dicey.
Yeah, and one thing to note here, it looks like Clayton Hoffman has made his move on Miller, who's still dealing with that right front damage. He cannot wait to get the caution here to get some of that damage fixed. So he's fallen now back to 4th. Looks like that's the farthest he'll drop, as we only have about 3 to go in the stage. So
let's see here. And comparatively, it's not that bad, at least on the stop block. But look at Matt White. Actually, Matt White has the freshest tires of the bunch here, so not obscure there.
That boy getting it. He's moving.
I think the air may have slowed down the 04 for a second here, as that's, I think, Dustin Hall just in front of him here, making that car a little bit tight. And if you're the 5, you're saying hold them up, hold them up, hold them up. But with only, about 3 laps to go in the stage, I do not foresee the 5 having another shot here. But Hall, is he still on the lead lap? No, he's 3 laps down already, so this will be going to a 4th lap down, and it looks like Dyson will be successful in that.
Yeah, I was going to say that's good for Dyson, because he's not going to fight as hard to stay on the lead lap, because he's not on the lead lap. So kind of makes it so he's not going to hold up our race leader, and he's looking pretty good for a stage win. Robert Anderson's about 0.6 of a second back, bordering on 7, and not really gaining substantially. He's going to gain a little bit off the draft of number 1. That's going to help him just a bit, but a little bit of a scuffle maybe.
No, they were just blocking the draft essentially all the way down about 7 lanes of traffic there. And again, still battling here just on the outskirts of the stage. So Gunningsman and Steele did manage to close in on that 10th spot. So this is playoff points, so stage points rather, on offer, switching about here the last couple laps.
Yeah, that's nice to see. I know some of these guys are on a little bit better tires than others. Kevin and Ralph. Let's just look at these two guys. You know, we see Ralph now back 2 races in a row. Took a pretty long hiatus there. Finally running his first race for Stent Analyzer Racing last week. Looks like he might be back here for the long haul, at least until the chase right now. And then you have Kevin Steele, another person who we thought we weren't going to see any more of this season, at least not as a full-time driver. And now he's back. So we got the 7 and the 8, 2 cars, numbers right in a row there. That looks like they're going to be back full-time.
I'll tell you what, Kevin was flying through turn 3. He gained a ton of time on Ralph Hutchison. So those two really kind of following each other through the pack, and it looks like they're going to be in position to get stage points, which is, again, this is exactly what Kevin Steele wanted. This is why he got back in the car. His team was down a driver. They need to protect that points lead they have, and what better way to do that than to continually get stage points here. And I don't know how Kevin particularly feels about Pocono, but to come back to a track this difficult and have a run this good, you can't really complain. Andrew Dyson wins the stage. Robert Anderson is going to take second. And then, of course, Clayton Hoffman, Robert Miller, Matt White, Bruno Melo, Adam Benefield, Jim Schofield, Kevin Steele, and Ralph Hutchison. Now, I want to point out, I know Adam probably heard us. He races with the broadcast up. I said, Adam's not doing Adam things tonight. But as soon as I said that, it's like I made him mad because he just started passing cars all of a sudden. Got up inside the top 10 and had a pretty good stage.
Second guy to do that too. Remember, we did talk about it with Miller that he wasn't making any headway. He went and took the lead, but that did backfire with that wall contact there. That may or may not have detrimented that 15th car into oblivion here. But these guys will get themselves situated behind the pace car. Looks like they have a ways to catch back up because they're still coming with a head of steam here, even though Barney is waving that yellow flag. So we'll let them get all caught up here as they do behind the iRacing pace car. But for the first time here tonight, we are going to step aside here and just get a breather, and we'll be back with you. And if we have enough time, we'll interview the stage winner. But stay with us. We'll be right back. And we're back here on PTR TV on 100% Cup Series TV. Still getting used to that one. After the second stage has completed, and I think Andre said he's going to grab our stage winner of Andrew Dyson.
Mr. Dyson, the boys up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, boys, hang up.
Well, Andrew, it's been a really good race for you so far, winning stage 2 and really driving away with it there. Car's looking pretty good, and hey, if you do win, you're going to get points for it this time.
Yep, that's always a good bonus to have the right number on. But no, car's all right. It's not too bad. I mean, I think Miller was stronger in a couple spots than I was, certainly in that run there. And I found as soon as I got in front, it got mega loose too. So I probably started sort of balking him a little bit as soon as I passed him, which I'm sure he wouldn't have been too happy about. But I was trying my best. So yeah, it's going okay.
It definitely looks like the car is pretty stable, especially under braking. I mean, when you got around Robert, you kind of outbroke him into turn 1. Is that just kind of something that you're doing? Like, would you say that's just your driving style, or you got the setup kind of built to outbrake these guys?
No, not really. I think what I've just found, it's really stable. It just plants and settles really early into turn 1, and it will stay down there pretty nicely. So I don't know if that's just right front that I'm kind of looking after. Maybe a little better than some other folks, but I mean, I didn't that run, I don't think, but I really kind of pressed on with it pretty early, and that's why Bobby sort of came back at me. But I don't know, it feels pretty good, so I'm liking it.
All right, well, the stage win under your belt, and you're going to have control of the field as the lights go off in the pace car. We'll put you back with your team, and good luck.
Thanks, guys.
The outcast of the front, of course, none other than Jason Taylor.
Oh, boy.
So he did not pit under that sequence and now finds himself with, actually, is he the control? Yeah, he is the control vehicle choosing the outside here, I do believe.
Well, and he did this in D2 last night as well. So a practice strategy, maybe not the best strategy, but it's practiced.
So we will see indeed how this fares. Of course, Bobby Anderson can't count him out, and Adam Benefield, I think first time on the evening, he's been in the top 5 there, and or in the 6th spot, depending how the cookies crumble there. Of course, Clayton Hoffman showing some speed, so it's all going to depend on how that 41 fires off. My old saying, he'll be fine going straight, but once he turns, the problems will arise. Pace car pulls in. Let's get stage 3 going. 60 more laps to call it here at Pocono. Green flag in the air.
Taylor actually a great jump as everybody starts to fan out, and he'll go way low. Maybe just getting out of the way here. I don't know, breaking the draft. He'll dive into turn number 1 as the leader, as they are 3 and 4 wide behind him.
It looks like the 41 is going to get a pretty healthy lead, at least momentarily. Oh, big scuffle towards the back of the field.
And look at the 41 doing the draft break there all the way down to the bottom. Gets himself back up so he can get the ideal line into turn number 2. But Hoffman did manage to get around Dyson, and that's going to be a very important battle there. But look at Benefield. He's going to try to take advantage of the situation. He's at the right rear quarter panel of Dyson. Maybe he can use that outside lane in turn 3, pinch Dyson down and grab himself the 3rd spot.
A little bit of contact between them. Benefield's got to keep it off the wall, and he does. But this battle's not over. They're going to enter turn 1 side by side, and we've seen that 04 continually able to outbreak these drivers going into the first corner. So I would not be surprised to see him make a lunge here, try to defend that position. Down into the corner. Anderson up high now trying to make a move. And a good run down on that yellow line is going to keep the 04 alive, at least for another moment.
Uh-oh.
But, oh boy, there's some smoke.
But we're good, so far anyways.
Yeah, and this is getting dicey. That's the best way to say this right now. These guys know how many laps are left. They know they can get as much as they can on these restarts, getting these big runs. So they're taking them, and they're getting 3-4 wide, even into the tunnel turn. I'm not feeling too comfortable if I'm some of these guys right now.
And you have to consider, too, we're in the final stage now. There is no guaranteed cautions ahead of them. It's just a race to the checkered flag. And we've had no attrition, boys. We've gone 102 laps. 29 cars started, 29 cars are on the track. So I would say the potential for some chaos is increasing lap by lap, but we'll see.
Oh, jeepers
Oh,
there. The
boy.
04 of Dyson there. And the 78 of Mello had some close quarters. O'Brien gives Mello a little bit of a shot there down the long pond. Still side by side, 78 and the 8. A little bit of a door tap nearly entering the tunnel there, but Hutchison's going to get pinched, and he can't get that run, but they'll still remain door to door. And Alex Murray coming back, recovering after that pit road issue.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some new people up front and some old people up front. You know, Jason Taylor, we haven't seen him up front all race long, other than when I think he got lapped earlier in the race.
He is 39.
He is now still holding on with those older tires, surprisingly. And then you have Clayton, who's been up front all race long. You have Benefield, who's now up there in the top 5. We said we probably should find his way up there, and he has so far. Anderson, another car that's been up front in a long time with Matt White, but you know, falling a little bit back. We've seen them in the top 3. As I say, I did have a speech impediment when I was younger, so don't make fun of me anymore, please. But we got a couple of guys in the back now trying to work their way back up. Murray back up to 8th. We got Miller looking to the inside of, it looks like Desiani up there, looking, that's about 15th spot into turn 3. So these guys are trying to work their way back up. They know they're fast. They know they have the speed to do it. They just need some time here, which they do have about 57 laps until we finish this one.
Look at that shove from the 12. Nolan Hodgson pushing the 24 of SOB, and as the 41 continues to fade to the field. Oh no, Adam, hold on to her. Oh boy, no. He did not hold on to her.
He held on to it enough to keep the caution from coming out, but not enough to save his vehicle here. Let's go back on replay.
Was that the commentator's curse again?
Perhaps.
I mean, we've been striking out on everyone we've spoken to here this evening, so.
Yeah, it's been a rough night for the commentators.
Yeah.
Oh, he got
Bobby
some help
Anderson
there.
That
He was coming in hot.
Terry Labonte was getting some reprieve there from the 1999 Goodies 500.
I don't want to say anything because I know it's a tough deal for Team Conti tonight, but that looked eerily similar to what happened to Adam's teammate Dustin. So similar race paint schemes tonight for them 2 cars, and it looks like they're going to end up with similar fates too.
All right. So anybody else you guys have some kind of anti against, any kind of a hatred that you want to vendetta? That was the word I was looking for. Because we'll put him on screen now. Within 5 laps, I'm sure something will happen.
We should probably just put Kevin on screen. This guy, Kevin Steele, he's just, I can't even start the list of complaints, he's just unbearable, insufferable even.
All
He's
right.
a Justin Barsha fan. He likes Bam Bam Barsha. That should say enough about the guy.
We talked about Damaris and showed him a lot, and he hasn't had any major issues yet, so maybe he's just sandbagging. He did win that Atlanta race last year, so just keeping his car clean, and maybe that's his plan tonight. Just hang back
last anymore.
Finish.
Still on the lead lap. He's got Benefield, Powell, and Hall behind him. Benefield instantly pulled it behind the wall there, so of course no fast repair, no backup car here in the Division 1 campaign, so if it wrecks, it be wrecked.
Yeah, and that was a very hard hit, and the thing was, by the time he hit the wall, he got to the concrete portion, which, as Jeff kind of alluded to, is generally a lot more firm in the iRacing simulator. Again, varies track to track, but we saw a lot of pieces parts flying off that 83, so definitely something was broken underneath the bodywork there, and not really much of a chance to get it fixed and get a good finish at this point when we're on lap 107 out of 160. Not a good time to have an incident, but I'll tell you what, for being on older tires, Jason Taylor's not doing too bad for himself. Obviously, there was a bit of a breakaway because of that incident. It kind of split the field up, but Jason Taylor's still up inside the top 5, not running lap times too far off of really anybody else in this pack. So, I don't know. Jason's strategy Taylor lives again.
So far, doing a decent job now. It'll be interesting to see him being lap 27 now. Probably will have to be in the pits within the next 10 laps. That puts him in a spot where he'd have, 40 3:42 to finish this one out. I think he would need some help from a caution, or he may need to pit twice to finish this one out. And we've only had, what, one caution for cause here on the day, so these guys driving a phenomenal race here. As here comes Alex Murray underneath White with the help from Dustin now. Looks like White will go -2 there, just in the length of the front straightaway. Now about 0.7 of a second for Murray to close into Hoffman.
Yeah, and I'm a little surprised by that move by Murray. I know how fast he's been today. It looks like I don't know if Matt White had an issue there or something, but I thought they'd be working together a little bit more. But as we were talking about Taylor, looks like he's under fire a little bit, but you know, he's running 5th right now. If this cycles through where he has to pit, looks like so far he's working out on the better end of where he was running, I would say.
Now, I just ran down to the infield care center. I found Adam Benefield. He's been checked and released. Let's see what happened in his words. Mr. Benefield, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Adam, you got to stop making me run down to the infield care center. I can't even run in general. What's been going on with that 83 lately, man?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do Monday morning. I'm going to call and get Kenny Powell and Robert Anderson eye doctor appointment, and so that way they can see past their hood pins in the center of the corner. It's just terrible getting ran over like that twice tonight, and people just driving like they ain't got no brains.
I like the realization that you were about to say something that would have got you cam stoned. I appreciate it. But in the meantime, you're right. There has been a lot of bumping tonight. There's been a lot of drivers kind of making contact. As on screen right there, you see the 7 getting a bit of a shot. Do you think that's a bit of a result of this aero package here on iRacing for Pocono? I mean, a lot of drivers are saying this is more like a plate race than anything.
No, that's what they want to call it, so they can race the way that they're racing. I mean, yeah, the draft is big and all that, but I mean, you've seen it tonight, 3 cars breaking away. I mean, I drove away the end of that last stage. I drove away from a 4-car pack. I mean, it's only drafting for so long, but you still got to manage it. And I mean, we started off terrible tonight. We were not where we thought we were, and Dustin and I just kept bouncing stuff off one another, and finally got it to where it would run halfway decent. And I mean, I ain't gonna sit here and say I thought we'd win, because that'd be a lie. I think Dyson or Roberts really the 2 fastest, maybe Murray. I mean, but we could have got top 5. It's just it's an unfortunate deal. Just unfortunate. I'm trying. I just need to get out of here before I say something.
All right, Adam. Well, we appreciate your time, and you know, it's been a rough couple weeks for old TC, but you guys have been here before, and you always seem to bounce back. So we'll figure something out, and I think next time we're talking to you, it'll be under better circumstance.
Yeah, and real quick, I forgot. Congratulations to Patrick Gitter. Him and his wife had I think it was a baby boy. I think this morning or last night, but so congratulations to them. I was told Mama and baby are doing great, so big Papa Gitter's gonna be probably miss a couple of weeks, but happy for them.
All right, glad to hear they're doing great, and congratulations to them. Thanks, Adam.
All right, bud, thanks.
So yeah, it's been as I said, been a rough few weeks for Team Conti, and the 83 in particular, just not really in the form we're used to seeing. But I remember a couple years ago, the 83 got in a bit of a slump like this, and well, then later that year, he went on to win the championship. So, you know, who knows? Never say never. It's kind of the beauty of the playoff format is you can have a bit of a slump and still come back. So you never know with the way things go. But in the meantime, look at this. We got a 4-car battle for the lead that is formed up. Alex Murray getting aggressive with Clayton Hoffman. And I said when that penalty was enforced, I wouldn't count him out, and here he is.
Here comes Dyson. Got a fairly decent run there off of 3. Not enough to pull out a line, but I think he'll give just a little bit of a tap, a lot of a tap there. Look at that humongous shot out of a cannon. Dives to the inside, does the Delaney yeet, as we coined it last week out loud, and takes the lead. But let's see if Hoffman can do a crossover move in Delaney yeet fashion. Murray still managed to keep the run off the corner, even diving in that deep. That says something, guys.
Yeah, and we've seen this speed out of Murray earlier in the race. Obviously, his issues on pit road didn't help him. But now it looks like he's been able to work his way back from the rear of the pack. Some help, obviously, with cautions going his way, getting good run on the restarts there. And it doesn't matter how you do it. If you go from the back to the front at a track like this, where it's rather difficult to pass, you got to get commands for that. And right now, it looks like he's like Benefield said. It looks like Murray had one of the best cars, and back out front he is.
And it looks like Matt Long, or no, I'm sorry, that was Jim Schofield making a move on Kevin Steele, trying to get around there, who, unfortunately, we couldn't commentator's curse. He's still doing pretty decent. So, Kevin Consistency Steele rides again. But behind him, Matt DiCiani trying to link up with this train. And, they're doing their best to stick with Blinky Lucas Hoytsma up there. He's just a ways up the road, part of a bit of a pack on his own there. But we're seeing a lot of separation all throughout the field. We're seeing a bunch of micro packs, it looks like. 3 cars here, 4 cars here, which is a lot different from what we saw in Stage 2 and in Stage 1, where it seemed to be just, 2 or 3 distinct packs. But now, look at the separation.
Now, this is more what Pocono is, what you expect it to be. Kind of have, some packs, some small little draft packs, some guys battling side by side, guys running by themselves. This is more akin to what you expect at Pocono. Brandon Pierce there looking to the inside of Dalton Mobley there. That is in about the 19th position. Gunningsman, who has had to recover from a few incidents here on the day, or a few situations gone awry back in 21st, but he definitely has a faster car than that. Whether he could take advantage, of course, we'll have to wait and see. But look at SOB. He's knocking on the door of a top 5, guys. He's looking underneath Hutchison here, but I think it may backfire, and Bruno Mello may take advantage of it.
Bruno Mello fighting back on the high side. Going to be a little bit of contact. And SOB is going to give it the old panic lift, which keeps them both alive.
Miller just behind that.
Robert Miller and Nolan Hodgson getting a little bit familiar with one another back there.
I caught both of those endeavors live there. And look at Hoytsma, Captain Blinkmeister. He's kind of making his presence known by Nolan Hodgson in the rearview mirror there. Who is just outside of the top 10 is Lucas in the 11th spot. Looks like, luckily, the connectivity issues have managed to cease themselves here. But looking at the telemetry here, let's go back, and looks as though the battle for the lead may be spicing up, because Andrew Dyson, who, remember, he had the lead on the stage, didn't have the best stage restart, dropped back to 5th, starting to pick them off one by one. But he's giving that push to Matt White, who is in turn closing in on Alex Murray. And they're bringing Clayton Hoffman along there in 4th. Bobby Anderson has fallen back, but a 2.5 and 5th.
Yeah, and this is where these guys are going to start thinking about strategy. 43 laps to go, closing in on that pit window. I think we got a couple guys on the same page up front, but then you got Bobby Anderson, like you said, all by himself. And then you got another pack. So these guys got to start working together here, figure out what they want to do. Does Ralph Hutchinson and a couple cars behind him, do they all pit together and come out in a group and try to catch these top 3 or 4 cars? Or does one of them just pit alone and try to run them down by themselves? I think pitting with a friend is probably going to be a better option. But them being, 3.5, 4 seconds back, that's a decent amount to gain, even with a little bit fresher tires.
Hoytsma and Hodgson there off turn number 3, a little bit of door tap. There goes Schofield. He's going to tag along with Hodgson there, and both get around the 0-7. Took him from 11th, heading for 10th, back to 12th, nearly to 13th as Kevin Steele tried to take advantage of it.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to make something happen. As a few drivers getting a little bit squirrely.
Slipping the RC there.
Corner. Yeah, the old RC Cola. I don't even know if that still exists. But looks like the 47, Schofield, he's going to try to get around Hodgson, who, by the way, is still giving it his all with Robert Miller. These two just duking it out. And, up ahead, it's not getting any easier. They got the number 8, Ralph Hutchison, right in front of them. They've got Bruno Mello, another fast car. So this is a competitive gaggle of cars, and really none of them have anywhere to go. That's kind of the result of all this push and shove we're seeing.
And I'll tell you, the clearing that these guys are doing off these corners is that they're of Daytona $500 million on the line. They are clearing each other by millimeters here, which with 41 laps to go, rather, very much surprising there. And you can see it on good on board there of Miller. Looks as though the damage has been fixed as much as you could expect it to, so I don't know if he's still detrimented by the car as much as he is just the track position at this point.
Honestly, I think it's a little bit of column A, column B. The track position's not helping, but I feel like with as hard as he hit that wall, there was probably something bent that you can't really unbend just by coming down pit road. There's probably some damage that is going to stick with him until the checkered flag. So it's going to be difficult for him. There's a little bit of contact in front of him. Hutchison getting up on the door of Bruno Melo. But again, you know, all these incidents, we're seeing a lot of push and shove. It's just a result of this track. You know, it's such a difficult track to drive, and when you come out of these corners, man, you're along for the ride at that point sometimes. And if there's somebody in the line that your car is trying to take, there's not a whole lot you can do to avoid it. As a more contact, they're going to go through wide.
They will get themselves down to 2 wide there. 8, 24, 12, and 15 all 2 wide. And Mello trying to see if he's going to get a battle or not. 24, he's going to slam the door right in front of the 8 there as he tried to turn down and make a pass underneath the 78, who in turn hits the wall at the exit of 2. And then let's go 3 wide, entering 3, Miller, Hutchison, and Hodson.
I can't believe Ralph saved that, and he's actually going to be able to slot back in line, I think. So that was a great save by that number 8. That could have been worse, but he's not in the clear yet. He's going to go 3 wide again, and now down to 2 wide. Lucas Hoytsma on his low side. He's got the 7 as well, waiting in the wings if Lucas can get around. So he's going to have to hold that line up top, but he's in a better place now than he was about half a lap ago. 2 wide is always better than 3.
Yeah, and you can tell these guys are just trying their best. I think at this point they realize they're probably not. As we got a yellow.
Uh-oh.
Hoytsma.
Oh, Mr. Blinky.
We did get affirmation from Lucas's father in chat that RC Cola does still exist, so that question has been answered. But let's answer the question as to what happened to the 07 from Andre Motorsports. Well, not Andre Motorsports, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it looks like he just got a little bit loose on the bottom, and he did his best to keep it from whipping around on him. But once he got that fish
what was Long doing there?
Matt Long just wanted to put the fear into Lucas, I think.
Yeah, we gotta catch that one. Oh, no, that's not what we need. We need this. Oh, he was a ways back too. Let's see.
Yeah, this all happened quite a ways ahead of him. You see the smoke? You see that 07? He's almost aiming for the smoke. I don't know. I almost think he got a little loose himself. He didn't mean to go that low. The car just kind of stepped out.
So we have some interesting developments with this caution coming out. We talked about it early in the race with the opportunity for some people to catch a lucky caution. Our friend that we talked about so much when we went back green, Jason S. Taylor, had just come down pit road and got service. So he will be staying out here, and I think he will be our new leader. Once he catches the back of the field here, everyone will come down. We'll be able to make it to the end of the race. And Jason Taylor will once again take his rightful place at the front of the field.
So we have to retort to you, Captain Driver, here. We're probably going to go green with, let's say, 125, so that'd be 35 to go. Taylor has an extra 2 laps. Let's say Taylor going 38 laps on the cell with this caution included. Does he have any fear if this goes green, or do you think he should be good to go?
I think he should be okay, especially with the caution. I know even shifting, you can make it around 38 to 39 laps on fuel. Based on his number here, it looks like I think he was literally like on pit road or just pulling off pit road when that caution came out. So he'll be using a little bit of gas here when he caught the field, but if I'm him, even if this goes green, even if we get caught in 20 laps, I think he's in a good spot.
Sorry to cut you off. Hoffman overshot his pit box, had to back up about 2 feet, so that'll cost some time there on the scoreboard there. You can see Murray already exiting his box. Dyson, he's going to come out of pit road first, so he gave his pit crew the Vegemite there. Phenomenal stop by the Aussie crew.
Yeah, it was a good stop, and again, with how important track position has been, that could be pretty big, as he's going to be probably second to Jason Taylor, and Alex Murray a little bit further back. He's going to be in third. So I don't know. This is going to be interesting. I think what you're going to see is a lot of aggression on this first lap of the restart, because they all know, look, if I can get the lead, my chances of winning are pretty good, because passing has been kind of at a premium. It's a lot easier to play defense than it is to play offense here at Pocono. So you're going to see everybody trying to fight for position. And I would not be surprised if cautions are going to breed cautions, but we'll see.
Now, let me pull up the count here on the evening. Of course, take 2 of them out and omit them for stages. So this is only the second caution for cause here. Been a very clean race at the Pocono Raceway. Only 2 drivers out of the race course. Adam Benefield, who just had his issues not too long ago, and Dustin Hall, who just a rough evening overall for the number 1 driver. Did park at about 5 or 6 laps ago. Kenny Powell, who has shown some speed. He is the only driver off of the lead lap in 27th. Everybody else is a lead lap driver here as we take 1 to go.
Just had to sort out John in chat there, I think, so that's why I was a little bit delayed there. But in the meantime, lights are going to go off on the pace car. It is going to be Jason Taylor leading the field of green, and again, going for the high line. Seems like he's done that every time he's got the lead. In fact, I think like all but 1 time so far tonight, the leader has taken the outside, so that seems to be the place to be. It's where they prefer to be. And look at this, Bobby Anderson also back in the fray. Clayton Hoffman, SOB, Nolan Hodgson. I don't know. It's going to be a fun restart.
Yeah, definitely should be the case there. 41, he stayed out last time by, managed to hang on. This time, he's not going to have the biggest of detriments. He's going to have a minor detriment, but I think it's mainly going to be driver and setup related at this point, less the tire detriment. So we'll finally see what that 41 can do up front of this pack.
Yeah, it should be interesting for sure. One thing to note, we've seen Alex Murray be pretty aggressive on these restarts, cutting people 3 wide early before turn 1. Might maybe see him do that here, try to take the lead back, and then we got another chance for Robert Miller back there in the 10th spot, I think, on the bottom. Or 9th spot, I guess, on the bottom. Maybe him make a move on this restart and try to get back to the front. See if that whole gang can rejoin themselves up front.
And here goes the 20-year-old Mustang making the turn that would make a Formula 1 car jealous. Getting down to pit road, and as the inside courtesy suites block our view, Jason Taylor is going to get a good jump on the outside, and actually might have been a little bit of wheel spin out of Dyson, because he's going to fall to the bumper of the 22. They're going to come together, and a huge draft break from the 41 gives him a slight advantage into the corner. Bobby Anderson, now you got me saying it, Corey. Bobby Anderson trying to fight back on the high side. Alex Murray was low side. Oh, we got a spinner down low.
And that's going to put us under yellow again.
Oh, Bruno Melo. He was having a good run tonight, too. We'll take a look at the PTR TV instant replay, see exactly what happened. Keep your eye on that 78. Was it a little bit of help from Anderson or from Miller?
Nope.
No. Maybe arrow loose, but I don't think there was contact.
Yeah, cold tires, having a car right on your back bumper there, trying to get back and throw that car coming off the corner full throttle, and just stepped out on him, got on the outside wall a little, but looks not like it's race-ending damage, but that's going to kick him outside the top 10 here, obviously, and all the track position he had that he had worked so hard for this race is now gone.
Yeah, that's big trouble for him. I mean, we're getting so close to the end that, same thing with Robert Miller having that damage on the car. At this point, there's just not much you can do to really hope for much of a comeback, but you never know, I guess. We could see calamity. I said that cautions may breed cautions, and that's kind of what happened there. And now 41 is going to have to try to do it all over again, and the competition behind is getting no less hungry and no less fierce, so I do not envy
Hutchison
him.
not allowing Powell to get his lap back there.
Yeah, I don't think Powell... I don't think he's made too many friends tonight. It sounded like from Adam's interview.
He will get back onto the lead lap, and whether drivers do appreciate it or not, they will keep the outside lane open. So that will leave 27 on the lead lap, with the only driver on track off the lead lap is going to be Dustin Hall.
Yeah, that's a tough deal for Dustin.
Why
I know
isn't he going?
joined the session. I don't think he's going to be on. I don't think he's going to be back on track now. From what it sounded like, he was having some technical issues, malfunctioning with the car, with the screen. So I don't think he'll be rejoining the track unless he's going to try to see if he has his adjustments fixed here. But for Kenny Powell, a guy who ran out of fuel coming to the end of stage 2, I think he went 3 laps down. He now has all those laps back. So he's been happy for these cautions. We might not be up here, but he is a very happy camper.
So there goes Kenny Powell. I guess he probably just had to wait for them to cross the line before he could get the lap back. So the bloodlust continues for Kenny Powell. But I'll tell you what, Corey, Dustin Hall is in the infield care center. I'm tired of running all the way down there. How about you go for a jog this time?
All right, that is fine with me. Let's go ahead and bring him on in here. All right, Dustin, Corey, the boys in the booth. You got us, man?
Hey, what's up, gentlemen?
Well, a rough night here at the Tricky Triangle. It kind of seemed like a decent run, but kind of caught in some bad situations there for the one, and of course behind the wall here. What was it like? Well, actually, you're not behind the wall. You're just 8 laps down. What's it been like here from the one's perspective here on the evening?
We fired off pretty good, but it fell off really bad, so we just missed it with the setup tonight. Put me in a position where I got used up by the 3, and then after that, a bunch of technical issues. I run surround on my triple monitors, and I had a issue with the display cord, or I hope it's the cord, not the port. I guess we'll find out if the screen goes black again. But we had some situations where it went black, and then it was a guessing game which monitor the sim would pop back up on, and what my FOV would be, and then as it was kind of phasing in and out of connection on that monitor, it would glitch again, go black again. So it's been one of those nights. Hopefully we can just get it all out of our way tonight and come back and get them next week.
Yeah, so of course going to Richmond last week, did you have confidence coming in here into Pocono? Was it a track you were looking forward to before all the follies and technical issues? Is this kind of a disappointment, or were you kind of just trying to survive here at Pocono?
It's a track I really like, and I typically run well. I have speed here. We made some changes to the setup to try and kind of deviate from what the rest of the field would be running if others were on EPI. And here we go. Screen went black again. So we're gonna go ahead and just. But yeah, that's we just ended up missing it, and.
At the end of the day, Windows be Windows, man. Well, hopefully, you can fix the car, you can fix the setup, but let's make sure that the Windows and all the odds and ends get themselves situated, and you can get back at it next week, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have it sorted out for sure by next week. Just hope it's not a display card. We'll see, though.
All right, man. Well, hopefully that all works out, and we'll catch you soon.
All right, thanks, Corey. Appreciate you guys.
Dustin Hall out of the booth, and hardware failures are always they're frustrating. You kind of expect a mechanical failure in real life motorsports, at least you used to, maybe not so much these days, but you never really expect a mechanical failure in sim racing, but it does happen.
Yeah, a graphics card going down would be like the equivalent of your engine shop basically needing to be rebuilt from the ground up. So you can see what the pain there that would be having to go out and buy a new 3070 Ti 4070 for pushing $1,000. So hopefully it's maybe a driver update and not anything internal there. But let's get ready for a restart. Jedi on the front row. He's taking the inside lane this time by. I wonder if that has anything to do with Murray being behind him there, but he's going to get on that loud pedal very early in the zone. He's going to have a jump. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess we'll find out in a little bit.
Yep, down at the turn number 1. Again, doing that nice serpentine all the way down the front stretch.
Murray!
Might catch him as he pulls a big chop on Murray, but Murray's going to have the big run, and they're all in the wall off too.
Oh, man. Murray got shot out of a cannon, got to the quarter panel, just barely avoided contact. He's going to get cleared.
Oh, Dyson and Anderson there.
We're going 3 wide, boys, for second place. Looks like Dyson's going to get clear, and they're going to sort that out. But behind him, look at Robert Miller and Nolan Hodgson, SOB, all these drivers just beating and banging constantly throughout the lap. And for the lead, here comes the Aussie, the 0-4 to the quarter panel. He's going to get that side draft out of the corner. Who's going to get it to the line?
These guys are giving everything they got. You know, it's 30 to go. They're racing like it's 3 to go. Body slamming each other, going 3, 4, 5 wide, some back in the field there. They are not giving it inches. Again, a little bit of contact between the top 3. Murray's going to inch out coming off of turn number 1.
But Jason Taylor, I mean, he didn't get the best turn 1 there, of course, on the opening restart, but he's not rolling over and playing dead. He has the big push there as we have some follies going on a little bit further back there. 97 to Matt Long. He's going to look for a 3 wide. Hutchison is going to shut the door along with Hansen there and block that from occurring. But here comes the 5 of Bobby Anderson trying to make some headway. He's a top 5 car, top 3 car at times. Can't get that track position back. And then there goes, remember, Robert Miller behind. He pancaked the wall a few times, but it has it driving pretty decent. Just trying to get some spots back as he may have repancaked it.
Yeah, I think that number 5 got into the concrete barrier. I see the right front crinkled up just a little bit as a very abrupt move behind him out of, I believe, Matt Long. And he's able to slot back in line. And again, Nolan Hobson is pushing the 15 through the corner. I don't know if this is intentional. I don't know if they're just trying to, push each other forward, or if that's just outright aggression trying to get this guy out of the way. But Nolan, all the props to him. I don't know what's got into him, but the last few weeks he's been running so much better than what we've seen at the beginning of the season. I mean, it's not a small improvement. I mean, it is massive. So big shout out to Nolan for doing as good as he is, but he's up here. He's fighting for it.
Yeah, these guys fighting. It's a good way to explain what we're seeing right now throughout the whole field. Nobody is giving anybody anything, and they're not giving the wall anything either. I see multiple cars off turn 3 every lap since we had that restart bouncing off that wall, and the car's only going to take so much of that before it starts showing ill effects from it. So these guys got to be a little bit smarter. Like we said, it's still a lot of time to go in this race. It's still 28 laps to go. You take that right front off your car, you're going to drop like a rock. And we've already saw Miller, he got a bunch of damage through the tunnel turn earlier. He's been able to get back up there into the top 10, but that car obviously not as fast as he was earlier in this race when he was leading. So to take off a right front early like he did, he's back up there. He's got a chance at this at least. Take off your right front now, I don't think you have a chance at a good finish.
Yeah, at this point in the race, it'd be a significant repair. Puts you all the way back to 27th, and you'd have to pick off 1 or 2 a lap to have any chance. Looks like Damaris had a huge wiggle there off the exit of the corner there as he is running in the penultimate position all the way back there towards the back end of the field. But Dyson staying within a car length and a half of Alex Murray, and this is akin to what we saw last night, Andre. We saw big, long snake chains, and it takes till about that 20-25 lap mark before we start seeing the handling really come into play. Saw the track temp down to low 90s here, so grip definitely on offer, and the fastest laps of the race being run in these recent laps. And when that happens, when grip goes up and speeds get faster, it does make passing even harder.
Well, and speaking of the long runs, and this is a good question for Jeff, because I think he knows a little bit better than I, but it's interesting because on iRacing, generally, the best way to save your tire is to run the bottom, the shortest way around the track for whatever reason, although it may not be that way in real life. On iRacing, it's going to save your tire. But as we've seen at Pocono, if you want to make a pass, it seems like the high side is the place to be. So these guys are running a lane or two up. How do you find that compromise between trying to save your tires for the longer run when it matters, but also not sacrificing a bunch of time by running the suboptimal bottom the entire time?
Yeah, and that's a tough decision. It all depends on really where you are in the field. We know that the longer we go on these tires, you start to see those comers and goers, cars that aren't handling as well. They start to move back through the field. As we saw with a couple of guys up front being able to run really well for 15 laps or so. So if you think you're faster than someone and you think you can get the run on them and get by them now, you might as well do it, because you might not be able to in 15 or 20 laps, and you don't know when the next caution is going to come. We get a caution in 5 laps. The chances everybody else comes down pit road once again are pretty high. So if you can get yourself 4 or 5 spots right now, it might end up working out for you if we do get a caution. So as a couple guys bounce off the wall again, these guys are working really, really hard to stay up front. We got a couple guys up front again that we didn't see earlier, and it looks like Bruno's trying to get some of his spots back.
And he's back to the 22nd spot, battling with Kenny Powell, who's had a very up and down day in that number 42. Tanner Marty just in front of him has evaded some issues here today. Rob Tracy in the 33, not Paul Tracy, because Paul Tracy would have demolished half the field and gotten to a wreck by now. And Tracy's had a rather smooth run there back in 20th. Lucas Hoytsma, remember, he had that spin, and he's now back in 18th. Kevin Steele, I don't remember what happened to him. He was pushing the edge of the top 10, but now he's back in 17th, so it could have just been shuffling, and or I just kind of lost focus on something there. But some of the guys of note we've spoken to, just a little bit further ahead, you have Jim Schofield and Ralph Hutchison. Thought that was a battle to be had, but is no longer. And up front, Alex Murray hanging on to that roughly 2-car length lead. And as we said, look at Jason Taylor on that strategy call, staying in the 3rd spot with some good speed. He's not holding people up. He's maintaining his own there.
Yeah, Robert Anderson is a little bit behind him, and he's not like within striking distance by any means, so that tells me that Jason's got good pace. He's sticking with the leaders, but I'm really impressed with this 22 so far, because he's actually slowly increasing the gap to Dyson, just little by little. He is starting to pull away a little bit, and these 2 leaders are even breaking away from Jason a bit. So these guys are pretty quick, and I don't know, it just seems like they hit the setup. And if Murray can pull this off after that penalty he had earlier, that would be quite the miraculous comeback.
Yeah, it definitely would be, and like you said, you know how tough it is to pass. He came from the back to the front once at the beginning of the race, starting 23rd, and then he had to do it again as we have 1 car way sideways back there. Can save it though, the red car.
That was Bruno again.
But you know, at this point of the race, if you're up front, you're in the contention to win this race, especially how the restarts have been this evening. So again, race is never over till it's over, and right now it looks like Alex Murray's hoping that we would have the white flag next lap, but sadly we still have about 22 laps to go.
And while we do have a little bit of time, again, because we didn't get to do the ad breaks last night with Jeff not being here, we do have one more to do for Stint Analyzer. So let's take a brief moment and go ahead and learn about them.
Whether you are new to iRacing or a veteran, we all have the same goal: to go fast. Stint Analyzer is a tool that helps you collect data from iRacing sessions to compare lap times with others. Hot laps are one thing, but comparing yourself with others over a stint is what really matters. You can compare a stint one-on-one, graph lap times from multiple drivers, export data to Excel, compare setups and tire wear. It also has a spotter mode and allows you to quickly review your incidents in a session. Also included is some simple overlays to help you plan out your pit strategy and compare one stint to another. And last, but not least, but it also has built-in Discord integration to allow you to share data and race updates. Download Stint Analyzer at stintanalyzer.com.
And we're back here after that little break there. Let's go to Stint Analyzer. I believe it... Actually, I don't think it's in the description of this video, but you can always look it up on Facebook, or I think look up the website. Stint Analyzer, a partner with the D2 series, but let's give them their shines. We didn't get to show them last night. Man, let's see. We do have largely a single file train here. You can see a little side-by-side endeavor there. Back into the pack. I think that is Tracy.
Lucas goes around. Gonna get a hit from the 98 Gunningsman.
Atlanta.
Kyle Ammon. The Moon Man gets sent to the moon. My goodness.
Yeah, that is who was it back in 1999 that had a super bad wreck here? I think that was what was the old 71 car back in the day? Some shades of that. 71 car, 2000 Remington, old guy.
Oh, I can see his face. I can't remember his
Dale
name.
Earnhardt was buddies with him. It was a really bad wreck here in 1999. Dave Marcus.
Dave Marcus, yep.
But let's see what happened here. A moon to the inside of Hoytsma, and now we'll have to go top down and assess our famous blame situation there. But
oh my goodness.
So whoever's fault that was, it was almost like he just kind of got more insult to injury there by finishing it off there. But let's go look at it from a top-down perspective, because that will kind of give blame there for whatever worth that is worth.
Yeah, so they drive down to turn 1 here. You see Lucas all the way up there on the outside wall. I think he just didn't think Ammon was going to make the move. I think it was just a really late move, or he got there late, and looks like Hoytsman just thought he was going to be okay to turn in, and Kyle maybe locked up the brakes a little, but they just kind of met in the middle.
Yeah, you saw Kyle, he looked low once, and then he rejoined. And I think Lucas probably thought at that point, okay, he's not going to make the move, but then he ducked back out of line right at corner entry. I think it might have caught Lucas off guard. That was just kind of a racing deal. I can't blame either one of them, but man, I mean, this hit, I mean, let's go on board with Kyle Lamoon. He's going to give him a bit of a nudge there, well, maybe a bit more than a nudge, and then you think he's going to be fine, but that 07 just hooks. I mean, I don't know where he found that grip to hook back to the right, but my goodness.
I would say the grip was off the right side of whoever he bounced off of, as we have a little bit of a split decision here. Some cars staying out, some cars pitting with 20 to go. Looks like 3 or 4 are going to stay out, and this is going to make things interesting.
Well, and we know that the drivers that stay out are pretty much guaranteed to be good to make it to the end regardless. It's just going to be a tire difference if these guys that are pitting still have sets left, and it looks like the majority of them at least have 2, or the left side's going to go up on these guys. Perhaps, but then we do have some staying out. Kenny Powell among them. Matt DiCiani going to miss his pit stall. I have to put it in reverse. So the majority opting to come down pit road, but a few drivers playing the brave and the bold out there, trying to maybe get that track position. The 92, Clayton Hoffman, Ralph Hutchison, Brandon Pierce, Bruno Melo, and there's Kenny. May not be making many friends, but he's making time.
So, all right. So, top 4, again, all have stayed on track as we well dictated there.
Yeah, this is interesting.
8.8 seconds, so one would presume a 2-tire stop by Captain Jason Taylor there.
I did see the right sides go up, so that's at least, yeah.
Sean O'Brien.
SLB behind him, 10.7. That's probably 2 as well.
And then the only other 2 tires that I can fathom would be back in 12th with Matt White and then Matt DiCiani there. Everybody else, based on the timings, would implore that they took 4 tires.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting situation here. About 12 laps, maybe 10 laps on the tires, green flag wise. So it's in one of those positions where some of these guys, 12 laps on your tires, 10 laps on your tires. We haven't seen an extreme amount fall off, especially in that first 10 laps. So for these guys that have been fast, we know Clayton has had a lot of speed tonight. He's been up front, he's led laps. We've seen Ralph drive his way up to the front into the top 10. Brandon really hasn't been up here that much, but we'll see what he has. And then Bruno Mello has been up here in the top 10 as well for a lot of this race before his issues. So we know these guys have speed in these cars. It's going to be a telltale to see what everybody else decides going into turn 1, if they want to hang with them or if they think we need to get around them right away. So
well, I can say from the back end data that the top 3, Hoffman, Hutcherson, and Pierce, have all been to pit lane 4 times. There are 6 sets on the wall, so they have 2 sets to spare. Most everybody else still has 1 based on the very primitive data that we do have. So I don't think even the good years on the wall is an indication of what is dictating the strategy. I think it solely is a matter of track position. As you can see, some heavy duty weaving here as guys trying to get some heat into those good years for this restart with 17 to go.
All right, you guys, I'm a little bit worried about Kyle Amoon. He just messaged me and he said, "Sorry, Dirt, I wrecked your car." The concerning part is not that he apologized, it's the fact that he typed in complete sentences, which he almost never does. So he must have taken a harder hit than we thought.
It added grammar to his threshold, you're saying?
That's what it seems like.
Wow. And Lucas in our chat, there was a lane on the bottom with the hands up emoji, so it seems as though that we don't have a fight on that one. Amoon just gave the big sorry, bro, and Lucas said, yeah, you should be, and they move on. So
100% boxing league win.
And there's no need to box if they agree to it, but I mean, that's only one incident. We still have 17 laps more to cause some attitudes to be had, but Hoffman will get on that accelerator, gets the jump he desires. Hutcherson clears for second. Pierce clears for third. They can go find a straight, but now they turn, and will that cause any of the issues?
yeah, we've seen some issues for cars on cold tires tonight. So at least for this first lap here, it might be a benefit for the old tires. And oh my goodness, Kenny Powell.
Oh my. Wow.
Oh my goodness, Damaris up in the air.
He might be dead.
The mail is not going to come today or tomorrow or maybe ever.
Wow.
They killed
what
Kenny.
A hit to that inside wall.
He killed Kenny. Let's see what happened here. 42 down on the low side.
Bruno to his outside.
I'm thinking there's going to be a little bit of contact, or maybe he just gets
Pierce.
loose. Oh, a 3-wide situation. Kenny bounces from the inside out to the outside. Damaris gets airborne.
Debris is just...
And then Kenny's going to roll back to the inside. I mean, that is...
Well, let's just keep it from this camera. Let's see if that does anything of justice.
Oh, this will be a great angle, actually.
Oh, look at the debris.
My word.
That was just horrible. Horrible crash.
And if you need a hood, that'll be up on the 100% eBay channel after this race. So that Damaris just tries to take his hood off and
Maybe
pure
he didn't
rage
have any
there.
brakes there, it looks like.
In the words of my boy Darrell Waltrip, in racing, sometimes you have good nights, sometimes you have bad nights. They just had themselves a bad night.
Or sometimes you're the bat, sometimes you're the ball.
Yeah,
And-
they were the ball.
And the fans are the ones with the glove who will be catching all of that debris after that.
I don't want to catch that foul ball.
I mean, a hood can only decimate you. I mean, rest his soul, Justin Wilson actually lost his life due to debris flying here at Pocono. So, both
You know, I almost mentioned Justin Wilson when I seen Kenny Powell rolling slowly back to the infield, because that was the exact spot that Wilson rolled to. That was something.
Yeah, unfortunate events here. Pocono, well, even in the real world, Pocono has had some very unfortunate wrecks that really were of no fault of Pocono, but have taken away IndyCar from this place, which it was actually built for IndyCar. So, kind of interesting little moves there. But do you guys think that the pits are not closed, obviously, in reality, but closed from the sense of your bet is made at this point?
Well, you know, the thing is, passing is so difficult. By the time we go green, it's going to be like 13 laps to go. I think your bet is made. I think you come down pit road now, it's just going to be detrimental. I think you pretty much just got to stay out, stick with what you got, and hope for the best.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's pitting unless they get damaged. Unless they have to pit, I don't think it's worth it at this point. We know some of these guys are on 2 tires now, but with all these caution laps, tires are cooling down, you know, they're equaling out for some of these guys. It's tough to justify coming down with still, what, 23 cars on the lead lap here, I think, somewhere around that. When these guys that got in this last incident cycle out, it just doesn't make sense, you know, unless you have to pit for fuel, which I don't think anybody does now with these caution laps, or you have damage and get wrecked or something. Staying out pit road, you know, the pit box is already getting put together, and your guys are sitting there watching the TV in the pit box. So we'll have to wait and see, but that's what it looks like.
So guys, let's play our famous game here on the channel, or the broadcast of take your pick. And I feel like this is going to be a hard one with how many variables we've had, but who are we taking for the checkered flag here tonight, boys?
All right, hear me out on this. Taking Wayne Grassy. I think we're going to have massive attrition. We're going to have a lot of issues. We're going to see Wayne Grassy in that number 3 Pennzoil machine. He's going to drive through it all.
Well, that's an interesting choice. As much as I would love to pick one of my own cars, I'm not going to, because I know how that's gone tonight. I would say I'm looking at that 15 of Robert Miller. You know, he's going to restart on the bottom again. We know he has the speed, even with a little bit of the damage that he does have.
I'm sorry,
I think
Wayne.
he might be able to find the right lane here and sneak by these guys and get back to the lead. You know, like we said, he has been one of, if not the best, that 15 car. So we'll have to wait and see. We got cars on old tires. We got some on 2 tires, some on 4 tires up front. So Murray, the first one on 4, it seems like from there. And then him, Dyson, and Miller are the top 3 on 4 tires. And you have the 2 Apex cars with Sean and Jason in there in 2. So, you know, Sean or Jason honestly could pounce here if they can get by these guys on older tires fast. You know, they might be able to get out front, get some clean air, and try to set sail.
And Andrew Dyson, he's had a cracking good race, so I'm taking that Aussie there in the 0-4 put in victory circle here, as I put my British accent trying to be Australian.
On today's episode, in the meantime, yeah, we do have some love for Dyson in chat. Dylan George says Dyson's going to pull it off, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's had a really fast car, and as has Alex Murray back there, and I don't know, I feel like it's anybody's game, because I feel like these cars out front having slightly older tires is going to maybe level the playing field just a bit. It's going to cause a bit of an accordion, and if we make it to the end from here, it should be an interesting race. But I'm going to go ahead and put $1 on there's going to be another caution column. Green flag in the air. When is Barney going to drop it? As they reach the dashed lines. Here we go. Back underway. The inside gets a good start. Clayton Hoffman is going to pull Brandon Pierce up into P2, and they're wiggling back and forth, trying to caterpillar a little bit, break the draft. And here we go. And is that Lucas Hoytsma further back? He's still on the track after that hit. I can't believe that.
Wow.
That's astounding.
Oh
boy. Yep, we're not done. Oh boy.
We're only 11.7 wide here on the back straightaway, and maybe we will funnel down to a more modest 2 and/or 3 wide here. So far, everybody in one piece. Top 3 have separated themselves. Clayton Hoffman pulled away by 3/4 of a second. Unfortunately, the rest of them can't say the same as let's go 3x3. Dyson into Pierce. Pierce, can he save it? I think he saved it.
If he saves it, there's no way. There's no way.
Oh,
nope.
Hodson there kind of did him in, but he's just barely.
Oh, concussion protocol.
Yeah, that's what took Kurt out, but that caution happened so barely there.
Yeah, it was so late. I almost thought we were going to stay green, but take a look at the PTR TV replay. This was going to be a 3-wide situation. I think Dyson may have gotten a little bit optimistic here to the quarter panel, and then 2 cars come together, and Brandon almost saved it.
Yeah, he never gave up there, and then Nolan kind of just ran out of opportunity, and the caution didn't come out until basically when he was on the apron type pavement down there, but nonetheless.
Hey, boys, the number 3 just picked up 2 positions. They called me crazy. They called me a madman. Wayne Grassie's on his way. There we go. There we go.
So, what do we do now, boys? Is there anybody that we can have a little chat with that wouldn't be detrimental?
I think what you should do is you should start figuring out how you're going to pay out those betting odds when Wayne Grassie wins this race. But
look at that car, Mike Lanta. Did he drive through a mud pit?
Yeah, a little bit messed up. But tell you what, let's
give Gio an interview. He hasn't had one. Oh, Damaris just blew up. He done blew it up.
Oh no.
I'm surprised he was still out there, to be honest. How hard he hit, too. He went up in the air. He went for a ride. So, surprising that he is even still rolling, but I don't think he'll be rolling for that much longer.
Pulling behind the wall.
Yeah, Gio, take your pick. Who you want to talk to, man?
Let's talk to that number 8 driver, Ralph.
All right, here we go, Jeff. Hold on one sec.
Hey, Ralph, it's Jeff up here in the booth with Andre and Corey. How's it going tonight?
Pretty good. I mean, it's really difficult to pass, but I feel like the car's been there all night long. So that last round of yellows there took the gamble to stay out and try to win this thing because it didn't seem there was a path forward other than to do what we're doing.
All right, so we've seen you early on in the season. You had a decent run going, a couple issues, obviously. A little bit of a hiatus there for probably 6 or 7 races. You're back 2 weeks in a row now. Obviously, pretty much in a must-win situation if you wanted to make the playoffs. At this point, you said how tough it is to pass. We know you're on a little bit older tires. What do you think the odds are right now, and what do you think you're going to have to do to get it done?
Well, first and foremost, me and Clayton got to get a restart and get hooked up and go. And then from there, obviously, the perfect theory is make it to 1 to go, 2 to go, and battle amongst ourselves. But you dropped the key clue there on old tires. So we're just going to have to work well together and see how this goes for one of us to have a shot. Big thank you to Stint Analyzer Racing for sticking by my side. Legacy eSports, all those partners. Got to go try and get one.
Sounds good. We'll let you back up into your team there to work out the details of this restart, and we wish you the best.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so number 8 out of the booth, and he's been having a pretty good night tonight. And, if he could cap it off with a top 5 or maybe even a win, well, be a pretty good way to break the slump he's kind of been in this league. And, not the only driver to be in a slump, but be good to see him do well. A little bit further back, 0-4 involved in that incident. He dropped back to 9th, having to check up for all that chaos. And he's got some ground to make up. But, look at these names up front. Ralph Hutchison, Bruno Melo, Sean O'Brien Jr. Bruno Melo, not that long ago, he was back in 17th, 18th. He was involved in a scuffle, and now here he is up inside the top 5. This has been a pretty topsy-turvy race.
Yes, it has, and it started off squeaky clean. I think we were in the first stage completely green, most of the second stage. Let's go to the caution tracker here. We've amassed 8, so 6 of them for cause. Of course, the 2-stage cautions by default. So still about half what we had last night with 100 less miles. So still overall a great showing here. And some good competition and some good strategy, and for the most part these guys have been minding their P's and Q's here on the evening. But if they're going to stop minding their P's and Q's, I guess the moment would be now, as we'll be in the single-digit laps remaining upon this restart.
looks like the
Baby Murray and Haley are cheering for Alex Murray. So Alex Murray has significant other and offspring both cheering for him in that 22, and we're coming back from that penalty. And he's in a good position, but he's got some guys on newer tires just in front of him, and that'll be a Herculean effort, but I think he is up for the task here. Green flag in the air. Hoffman gets the jump. 24 of SOB trying to give Hutchison the jump there. 41 trying to give Bruno the jump, but Clayton Hoffman, he's out to lunch 3/10 of a second right off the get-go.
Look at this, Murray down low. He's going to try to make it 3 wide. 4 wide.
Guys playing bumper cars in there in turn 1, and Murray
going
around. Big wreck off
Commentator's
turn 2.
curse. Sorry, bro.
Dyson is in it.
Incident.
A huge accident off turn
Nolan
1. This looks like the truck race today.
Yeah, that was a lot of big names that just got taken out.
I don't even know where to focus on because everyone just incidented out there, including the man, the myth, the legend himself, Andre. So, severe apologies there.
Yeah, that tracks. But we'll take a look at the BTR TV instant replay. Let's see what exactly we can decipher.
22
here.
into the 24, sideways. There goes Dyson. 41. Hoytsma, big dead, big disappear. Let's go from our static backstretch cam here. This may be of interest.
Yeah, and then after this, if I could put in a request, I want to go on board with Kevin Steele through this.
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Another great angle. This camera has proven to be very useful tonight.
You can just see all the blankouts here as people become no longer equipped with the world.
That looks like Back to the Future right there.
That it did.
Let's go and queue up the onboard of one Kevin Steele here as a here we go.
So everything's going to happen right in front of him. He's going to get hit here, but then it's when he comes back up on the track, he gets a shot from Wayne Grassi.
The drum hammer.
The drum hammer is going to hammer the wall.
Drop the hammer right
Hammered
there.
it twice. All right, Cartage is afoot. Where's the drum hammer going? He's going straight.
Man.
He's going straight. Dyson.
Oh, he almost parted the seas.
But his car just
exploded.
His car just exploded there. As of course, there's no camera that will show that. Yeah, his car just exploded there, and then it somehow repopulated itself with parts as it coagulated. I've only said that twice today. Back together. So unfortunately, for in chat. Well, actually, no, we are not at fault, according to Haley in chat, who is the 22's fan. She cursed him. She should have stayed quiet. So
are we finding out that the commenter's curse is worse
commenter's
than the commentator's
curse? Yes, yes. Just take a syllable off, and now it is accuracy.
All right.
And Lucas tried to say he's trying to spell what we say. Incident out. Spell it.
I'm down here on pit road, and ooh, there are not many cars that are not on pit road right now. There are a lot of cars with damage. This is going to shake things up.
Dyson, Tracy, Jedi, Nolan, Alex, Dalton, Tanner. Oh, Tanner is struggling on track here. But he's still going.
Matt Long had top 10 run going for a while in this race. He's now disqualified, like you said.
Look at Randy's left front here. I don't think that was towing the right direction.
Yeah, I think he's got that set up for a road course now.
Well, it looked all right from that perspective, but not from that perspective there. But struggling there with the aerodynamics. Rocky Mountain National Park, I think, on the hood of that car. So Rocky being the configuration of that car right now. But this will put us into about 5 to go, so still in regulation. So remember, we still do have 3 green, white checkers on the table. I think we used 2 of them, Andre, last night, I think. So we'll still have them on the table if necessary here in tonight's race. But after that endeavor, 16 guys that are behind the pace car right now, and I don't know which number of them are actually still in raceable condition.
Yeah, it's been a lot of attrition, and which is, again, very reminiscent of D2. You know, that race started out so clean, and then everything went to chaos mode a little bit later on, and that's what this race has done. We had all the cars that we started with when Stage 3 began. We started with 29. We had 29 at the start of Stage 3. Now we have 16 cars behind the pace cars, so we've lost a fair few soldiers, we'll put it that way.
Yeah, look at here behind the pace car here with 1 to go. I think we can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 12-ish, 12, 13 or so at maximum here. So, and then for the rest of them, there is a race to be had with those who are damaged now, because if you can get an extra lap or 2 out of this deal, you might piggyback 5 or 6 spots from guys who can't get back out there.
Yeah, this is really shook things up. You know, you got one guy up there, you look at him, like you said, though, no one, Sean O'Brien there, SOB, in third. He's going to be, or fourth, I guess, on the outside. He's going to have the newest, quote, newest tires, obviously only on 2, but still, newer tires than the 3 cars in front of him. You got Bruno, who's still up there on those old tires, going to be on the inside. You have Robert Anderson, who's been really good tonight. You have Robert Miller, who's been really good tonight. Then you got some guys we didn't talk about much. Schofield, Desiani, Matt White was up there, but now falling back a little. So some of these guys have some damage that's been fixed. It's really going to be crazy here, I think. It's going to be wild.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn between saying we're going to need those green-white checkers and saying we're not, because obviously the field is jumbled up and everybody's been so aggressive. I'd lean towards we're going to get another caution, but at the same time, there's not that many cars left, so kind of takes the likelihood down a bit. Here comes the pace car. We're going to come down pit road, and then we're going to try to do it again. Hopefully, this time we can do it a little bit better, but it looks like the 22 just catches up to the tail end of the field as we go green. Inside lane, a little bit more formed up and a better jump, but look at this, the outside getting together, tandeming all the way up to our leader almost as we get into turn 1. Ralph is going to jump down low, SOB stays high. It looks like Bobby Anderson going to have to try to contend once again. Robert Miller, these two finding each other once again.
5 into 15. They'll do some drafting endeavors down the straightaway. Mello going to take the steam away from the 5, but the 5 going to take it down to the inside. And the 24, I think, nearly into the back bumper there of the 8. When was the last time Sean O'Brien Jr. was in victory lane? Well, I thought he may have been closer to it right now, but here comes Anderson trying to take a stab at that inside lane. The inside hasn't really been very advantageous through turn number 3. Well, all these guys need to figure something out because Clayton Hoffman pulling away to 3/4 of a second.
Yeah, these guys know that, these guys on new tires, they know if they want to get positions, they're going to have to do it now. And as you see right there, big move by Miller down to the inside. Not going to make it happen, though. And while these guys are playing footsie trying to get second away from Ralph Hutchinson, like you said, Clayton is just waving goodbye. He's smiling, waving
in the wall back of the shot.
Here comes SOB trying to get around Ralph on the low side. That would put him up to second if he can get it through the tunnel turn here. Now, again, the top has been pretty good for defense, but I think SOB is going to take it. But now the problem is for Sean, he just gave up a second to the leader, Clayton Hoffman. A huge advantage with only 4 to go. It'll be 3 at the line, so clock is ticking for these guys.
So is SOB hoping for something to happen, or does he just want to take a second here? Well, I think something's going to happen.
Oh, they're going to save it. Here's Dyson.
Using every inch of the front straightaway. Oh, Mobley.
Dalton Mobley, Brandon Pierce, it looks like, involved.
So this is going to put us into overtime now, and if you're SOB, you had a second pretty well wrapped up. Well, you might have a first, or you might have a 15th. I guess we'll find out.
I'm fairly certain SOB has not won a Cup Series race.
41 outside 3. Oh, okay, so we got to go a little bit further up.
He's got a D2 win, but this would be a first as we'll take another look at the PTR TV.
All right, 4 wide here.
A 98 Gunningsman got into Matt White, and then...
Yeah, we got one more shot at this between... so we know it started it now, but what...
Dalton just tried to swerve to avoid it, and Brandon got into the rear bumper there.
Yeah, that's a tough deal there. We will go to a green-white checkered, though, officially. So if the chaos hasn't happened enough so far, get ready and take out the bingo card, because it's going to get wild.
This will put
Even more wild.
This will put Hoffman to probably within 40 laps or close enough to it now. He does have the benefit of the yellows to help him here, but that fuel tank and that 92, I mean, it could deal with one green-white checker, but what if we get another one?
Yeah, I think right now the amount of caution laps we've had since these guys pitted, I say they're good for at least one, maybe even two. You know, if you're Clayton, if you're, say, even Ralph still up those older tires, Bruno out there on those older tires and less fuel than all these guys, if you're them, I think you're still more worried about the tires than you are about the fuel right now. So yeah, you could probably stretch that one time, but maybe two would be the end point. I don't know. We've just had so many yellows right now that I think we've probably had at least maybe 15 or 20 caution laps at least since these guys last pitted. So I think they're pretty good on at least two green-white checkers.
Yeah, he was running it in 5th there, but at the lowest possible rev, so he was not quite doing the high level of saving, which would be to clutch it down, have it show 300 RPMs, coast it, then you give it the quick stab, get it up to about 75, then coast it down to about 50, wash, rinse, repeat. That's the Alta save, so he wasn't quite going to that level yet, so clearly he has a little bit of confidence there, and looks like this may be a slightly extended yellow, because we saw the ticker went from 3 laps ago up to 4 laps ago, so it did kind of add an additional lap that was unexpected here. So even though it is a caution lap, any extra lap being ran is not one that it's really only 2 cars, to be honest. It's it's Hoffman and Hutchison. They are both at the 37 lap mark right now. Then you do have Bruno Mello at the 33 lap mark. Everybody else, no fears at all. 18 laps, if not less.
Yeah, so they got to be probably hoping that this is the last green-white checker, but if the trends of the race are anything to go off of, it may not be. So that's going to be a tough situation, especially if you're the leader. I mean, you can't really afford to save. If you let off that loud pedal, if you start taking it easy, well, SOB is going to take that from you. Maybe even Ralph is going to get around you, and there's a lot of good competitors back there that are going to take advantage of that. So you got to save enough to get to the end, but can't save too much.
Yeah, luckily, Pocono, a track that at least under green you can kind of save a little bit here, but not at this juncture. A lot of times, instead of braking into turn 1, you can just let it roll a little bit longer. But at this point in the race, you got what you got. You'd have to imagine that they did the math. These guys all work so tightly with each other. They work so tightly with the analytics and doing practices in the iRacing official series races. So when they know that they can do something, you know, who are we to question them in most instances? But they do sometimes make mistakes, so anything is possible at the end of the day. But let's see if the pace car does turn the lights off and lets us get back going here as we are in Pocono overtime here on the evening. It is now the Scalene. It'll be the 407.5 here, I think we're being scheduled for right now.
Yeah, and this is, you know, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. You know, these guys, some of these guys probably getting closer to that incidented point out area for sure, I would say. But, you know, we saw how aggressive SOB was on that last restart. You know, getting into Ralph, kind of moving him up the track to get by him. Is it possible that he could do the same thing to Clayton, depending on how good a run Clayton gets coming out of, you know, going down to the turn 1 and on the restart? It's going to be interesting. You know, he's still on 2 right side tires, so still a little bit more grip than Clayton probably has, and still a little bit more gas in the rear end. Probably help that car on the straightaways. So this could definitely still be we still have a decent race here, hopefully.
Yeah, lights are off on the pace car, so we're going to try to do it for hopefully the final time. I'll tell you what, this has been a crazy race in the last stage, and I wouldn't expect it to end any differently. It's going to be SOB and Clayton Hoffman up front. And as one of the admins mentioned there in the chat, if Hoffman can win while Patrick Gitter did not start and was not here today, that would pretty much bring the battle for Rookie of the Year right back to the forefront. It would be extremely close. Even if he doesn't win the race, just getting this good finish is going to tighten it up quite a bit. So that's fun to think about. In the meantime, pace car is going to be starting down to pit road, and let's see. Hoffman's gotten some really good starts, and he was gapping the field last time we tried it. Let's see if he can gap the field again. Ralph Hutchison timing that start with a 92 perfectly. That's going to put SOB down to third, and they're going to be single file 1, 2, 3, and 4. First double wide is going to be for 5th place. That's Bruno Melo trying to take it away from DeCiani. Jason Taylor involved as well.
Diving now up down into turn number 1 for the penultimate time potentially here. Getting Hoffman up by 0.2 of a second now over Hutchison. SOB back there in third. Can't waste really any time at all. He's kind of giving the bump draft to Hutchison there. Let's both get up there and then try to hash our cards out here. Headed through the tunnel. Looks like the 8 has a little bit of a charge towards the rear bumper of the 92 here. Can we make it through 3 and hit the white?
Look at that. Cars fanning out behind him. SOB, Bobby Anderson moving up to the high line. But a huge gap is going to be instilled by our leader there through turn 3. What a good run he got. Meanwhile, the 24 and the 8 battling. Here comes Bobby Anderson. If the caution comes out, that's going to be it. That will be the race. A huge shot to the 8 from the 5. Now going through turn 1 for the final time of the race. Still a big gap for Clayton Hoffman. He's got no pressure thus far, and if these guys keep it up, he's not going to have any.
Yeah, down into the tunnel turn. For the last time tonight, it's been a crazy race, and Clayton Hoffman's led a lot of it, and now Ralph Hutchinson for second. Anderson's going to make the move. He's going to clear.
Oh, no.
Does he have enough to dive bomb Clayton down to turn number 3?
Coming into turn number 3 for the final time. The battle is going to be for second and third. Not going to be for the win. The 92 is going to come off of the final corner here, and he's going to make his playoff picture that much more cemented. The 92 wins here at the Tricky Triangle.
And he's going to close the gap to Rookie of the Year massively with that win. What a finish to a dramatic race. That we heard Adam Benefield in his interview say, you can pull away. It's not strictly a drafting track, and that's exactly what Clayton did.
Yeah, took advantage of the situation and had just enough petrol in the tank to pull it off here with 40 laps, pushed it all the way. Thankful for all those yellows, and unfortunately for SOB, talked about him maybe going for the win there. He ended up dropping back to 5th there in that endeavor.
Yeah, that was, like I said, it was going to be wild, and it was. You know, we had some cars up there at the end that we never really saw towards the front, and in the end, first and second were 2 cars that ran up front pretty much the whole race long, Clayton and Anderson. Ralph obviously showing up at the end, staying out on those old tires. DeCiani getting in the right lanes late with new ones, and we'll send it down to the victory circle here as Clayton's going to try to burn it down.
This will be his 3rd win of the season, so he'll, with Hoytsma having 18 playoff points and Delaney having 20, this will definitely close that picture in as well and help him out here as he does some donuts and slides here down the front straightaway, and in a solid victory here. Let's see what the final tally was for him. 55 laps, so just about 1/3 distance here was led by the 92. But as he does finish off his celebratory activities, let's head down and give you the final running order of results here today, assuming they load properly, from the Pocono Raceway. Clayton Hoffman with the win. Bobby Anderson gets the second. Hutchison with the third. Matt DeCiani all over the place here, up and down the grid all evening, but gets matches his car number there for a 4th place finish. SOB was kind of pulling for him to get that win there, but dropped back to 5th on that green-white checker. Jason Taylor, good strategy run there, gets a 6th. Paget, Mello, White, and Andrew Dyson, probably one of, if not the fastest car, has to settle for a 10th.
Outside of the top 10, Jim Schofield is going to finish in P11. Alex Murray hustles back up to P12 after his incident Not a bad recovery. Robert Miller, P13. Brandon Pierce, 14th. Chad Gunningsman is going to be 15th. Dalton Mobley, P16. Nolan Hodgson had a really good run early, but unfortunately not in the cards. He's going to bring it home 17th. Tanner Marty, P18. Rob Tracy, not Paul Tracy, is going to be 19th. And the drum hammer hammered that inside wall, brings it home P20.
21st was Kevin Steele, which I
gotta refresh it. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with this. Sorry about that.
Kevin Steele starting the first couple cars out of the race tonight due to incidents or damage. After him was Matt Long. After he had a solid run going early, had some contact, took him out of contention, as well as Lucas Hoytsma, Wayne Grassi. Damaris had some incidents, then blew the motor in 25th. Kenny Powell in 26th, Kyle Ammon in 27th, Dustin Hall with some issues, and his Team Conti teammate Adam Benefield finishing right there in 29th to round out our field.
Oh yeah, there was only 20. It wasn't broken. There was just only 29 guys here tonight. For some reason, I just thought it didn't load because that was being something that's happened in the past. But either way, let's head down to Victory Circle here. I got the winner situated here. Clayton, you got us, bud?
Yes, sir.
90 was 55 laps here that you and your 92 led here at Pocono. A race that started off clean as a whisker, but turned into quite the chaos here towards the end of it. And yeah, probably were right on fumes there with the green-white checkers. Talk about how tight you were on fuel, if at all, and the strategy on hanging on for those green-white checkers.
Basically, it was like lap 140. We had like a little bit of a run or something like that, where we had like 10, 15, something like that, green flag laps on the tires. And we decided to stay out, me, Ralph, and Brandon. And that pretty much set it from there. I had enough fuel to make it to the end if it went green, but yeah, fuel was never a concern. I was burning extra fuel under the pace laps, trying to just lighten the load, just because the less fuel you got in the tank, the faster you can go. So yeah, I wasn't worried about that. I was more worried about the fresh tires, if we were going to have enough wrecks to make the strategy work, because I thought more people might stay out that were near the back that might have had a fast car, but there's only 5 of us that stayed out, so I was pretty worried there, but things just ended up working out for me.
Yeah, let's talk about the challenges overall on the evening. We know tires were not the biggest deal, but they did mean something. But track position, strategy calls, and coming back through the field, managing to make passes when you did get shuffled back. How was your car handling in those kind of situations?
Well, the first stage, since I qualified on pole, I ended up leading the first couple laps, and my car got way too loose. Once I was just relaxing, not trying to push through the corners to make sure I wouldn't give someone a run or make them think they were getting a bigger run than they were or something. I was able to manage the rears a lot better, but yeah, it was pretty good. Just my teammates just were not really around me there till we all decided to stay out on that one caution where everybody else pit. Once I got them beside me, we got those restarts. We had a plan on what we were trying to accomplish with staying out, and that was, pretty much run the outside, make everybody pass on the bottom, and we did pretty good at that.
I did that, just indeed. Next week we flip the script and take the speed down, head to the slick 3/4 mile at Richmond, which I believe is a day race again, so should be pretty tough track conditions there. What are the odds you go back to back there at Richmond next week?
I'm not sure. Haven't run Richmond since the tire update. I'm not going to have any time to work on a setup, so it's pretty much going to be what I ran last time at Richmond with a couple tweaks probably. It was pretty fast then, but I'm just not the greatest driver at Richmond when it comes to pushing the car hard, running hot laps, and saving the tires. So I honestly am not really sure. I'll be fast enough on the long run probably, but I don't know that we'll get a long run.
Yeah, well, based on the spring race, you may be right, but we'll see what happens, man. Congrats on a victory here at Pocono, and we'll catch you soon.
All right, thank you.
Now, Andre has caught up with the improperly manufactured Kellogg's machine of Bobby Anderson.
Mr. Anderson, you got a copy?
I'm here, guys.
Well, Bobby, this race played out pretty similarly as a whole to D2. Started out pretty clean, got a little bit crazy at the end, but the difference here is that you got quite a bit of a better finishing position tonight being up on the podium. You had a really good run up there. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, we were debating there with 20 to go whether or not to take tires. I think I probably was going to end up in about the same place whether I took them or not. I don't know if I had anything for Clayton and Ralph there at the end. But yeah, good car, good run. Just happy he was able to drive up from 10th through 2nd. It's always kind of treacherous there at the end, trying to pass a bunch of cars with everybody racing so aggressive as they are. And yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah, this race definitely a race of attrition at the end. What was kind of your mindset in just trying to keep the car clean? I mean, how were you avoiding a lot of the craziness out there?
Just luck. I just kept looking in my rear view and seeing the field spin behind me. I don't think I actually had to drive through anything. So yeah, it's just kind of a game of attrition and game of luck here at the end of these type of races.
Now, in a week's time, we're going to be heading to Richmond. We called you Short Track Bobby for a reason when you first joined the league. Looking forward to some short track racing?
Yeah, it'd be good. I think I finished 2nd or 3rd at Richmond last year, so hard to pass there as well. Start working on the set, but we'll see what we got for him.
All right. Well, congratulations on a 2nd place finish, and hopefully you get another one next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right, now I'm going to hand off 3rd place to Jeffrey Souza. Let's see what Ralph has to say about his impressive podium.
Well, Ralph, it's Jeff up here in the booth. You got me?
I sure do. How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. We talked to you there during one of the cautions. You said you didn't know how things were going to go. You needed to get a good jump with your teammate Clayton there, and looked like most of those restarts you did. Obviously, that last one, couple laps, you had to play a little bit of defense with everybody, but you end up coming home with 3rd tonight. What does this mean for you after all that time that you took off?
Yeah, man. How I ran to start of the season, combined with the time off, they were honestly one and the same. To come back and have 2 top 10s, a top 5 here tonight, really means a lot for me. Building momentum back up and finding my footing, if you will. You know what I mean? Extremely happy for Stint Analyzer Racing and Legacy eSports to pick up a dub tonight. That means a bunch to me that I was able to play a hand and help for that to happen. Nobody quit on me through this, and happy to have played a hand in it. A lot of those blocks weren't, those who've raced with me know those aren't moves I would normally make. Sean has every right to be frustrated with me on a few of them. I'm just candidly saying that, but I had to do what I had to do, and it worked out. So very proud of everybody.
Right, so we see you have this good a run. We know your teammate Clayton had a really good run. A couple other guys that you work with were up front or had speed tonight. What do you think this does for you guys going into next week now? Richmond, flat track. I think it's the first real short track that we've had the new tire model on now in the league, at least. It's going to be tough, I think, but what's your opinion on Richmond, and what do you think you're going to get out of it next week?
I, for one, am extremely excited for that one. Getting a new feel for the new short track tire last week. I fell in love with it, and it really agrees with what I like to do behind the wheel. It really agrees with the packages and setups and those sort of ideas that we like to do. And then couple that with the momentum rolling in there. So I'm very much looking forward to Richmond. That's a track I've given races away at before, have the opportunity to run good. I know I can. So really looking forward to it and love the momentum we have.
Well, we appreciate you joining us here tonight, and congratulations again on your podium finish. We look forward to seeing you next week at Richmond, and we're happy to see you back here in the league.
Thank you much. I hope to be talking to you guys in the booth again next week as well. That's usually a good sign, so thanks much.
Well, that's Ralph Hutchinson, our 3rd place finish tonight, rounding on our podium. Well, guys, this was a clean race, a very, very clean race until we got to the last probably, 40, 50 laps here tonight. As you said, similar to last night. But as we expect here at Pocono, restarts are going to be wild. People are going to be 3 and 4 wide, and chaos is going to ensue. So after we leave Pocono tonight, go out to Richmond next week. What do you guys want to look at for that short track?
I'll tell you, Richmond has it's got a bit of a reputation in the league. We've had some kind of crazy races, so I don't think we're going to be leaving the chaos in our rear view just yet. Also, I just remembered it wasn't Bobby Anderson we gave the short track nickname to. That was Joe Stafford. I'm not even sure if he's in the league anymore. But, we'll give Bobby Anderson the honorary short track nickname. I'm very sleep deprived, and so is Corey. So that's a fun time when 2/3 of your booth, maybe 3/3 of your booth is sleep deprived. But in the meantime, yeah, Richmond's going to be a little bit crazy, and either way, I think if you're looking for some action, you're going to find it there.
Let's just say the last Richmond race that we actually covered it on PTR, and it stemmed the soup versus stew debate with how many yellows we had. I think upwards of 20 plus, I want to say there was. So
25, I think.
Yeah, so hopefully the T's will be crossed, the P's and Q's will be all minded, and things will be a little bit better. It will be a slick, hot summer race at Richmond, so we'll see what happens. But you'll want to stay tuned to the 100% Cup Series channel here for that. I will not be here, so I think it'll be Andre, Jeff, and Cody, I think, question mark. Perhaps we'll figure that out, but make sure you stay tuned for it, and we will be back for Friday night on D2, I do believe, as well. So that's Corey, Andre, and Jeff signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.